Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Doctor Who tier list. In today's tier list, we're finally getting round to doing the animation tier list after many months of sort of putting it off. We had a release date for the Abominable Snowmen, so we could put this on our calendar and finally give you the animation tier list. Once again, I am joined with Luke.
Yes, hello everyone. Since we started doing tier lists back in, what was it, July last year?
Yeah.
I think animation was definitely one we were discussing. Like, oh, that'd be a good one to have a crack at. But with like constant releases, like late that year, you had Web followed pretty quickly by Evil of the Daleks, followed pretty quickly by Galaxy 4. And then we had the Abominable Snowmen announcement, and it just kept like being a case of we don't want this to go out and then be outdated almost instantly. So let's just bide our time and wait a bit. And then we had that news that Abominable maybe to last for a while, with BBC America pulling out the funding from the animation, sadly. So it seemed like the right time now to get at it, because presumably this won't be outdated for a little while at least. So we have the complete list from the invasion up to the Abominable Snowmen. We're just tackling the animated reconstructions, plus Sharda. I don't know whether that falls into that category quite, or if it's its own sort of thing. But yeah, so just the official BBC stuff, none of the either fan made, no matter how well fan made, it's just like easier for us to simplify it down to just the official stuff, and also not Dreamland or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that's where we're standing on this one.
Yeah, just good old missing episode stuff, really.
Yeah. It's a fairer comparison, isn't it? If it's going up against
it's
a similar
you've got
product.
something to compare to, haven't you, with like soundtrack and target book, whereas the Infinite Quest and Dreamland are its own entity.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, very much so. And I suppose they sort of have an advantage in animation in that they were scripted and made for animation, whereas these were all made to originally go out on TV. Sharda has a slight advantage there in that the recording of the lines and such can be paced more for animation, but still with half the story recorded, and then recorded originally back in the day, and then very much sticking to that original script. It's sort of held down by similar limitations, isn't it? And it's very much trying to channel that same style as it would have been back in the day.
Yes. So before we dive into animation talk, what have you been doing? How have you been occupying yourself? Obviously that thing arrived in the post, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what have you been doing?
Listening to 42. Really enjoying that one. And after that, I fancied some Autumn Foley, so finally polished off Into the Stars and listened to Break the Ice. Along with that, we've obviously had big news this week from Buckingham Palace. So sort of, not really keeping up with it, but certainly it's something that affects your life in a way, because
It's history,
it's
unraveling.
everywhere. It's hard to avoid at this point. Yeah, and like you say, it's also history happening before us. Like, this is unprecedented for probably the majority of the population, really. Like, in their lifetime, don't remember there being
any other monarch, unless you're in your 80s.
Well, actually, yeah. Well, no, not quite. 50, 50. So yeah, 70 years, wasn't it? Oh yeah, because of course we had the Diamond Jubilee. No, it's not Diamond Jubilee.
Was it Platyjubes?
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
yeah, Platyjubes. That was it. Yeah, Golden's 50. Diamond is 60. I know why I was thinking Diamond, because we had all the Diamond stuff for the Doctor Who 60th, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, we got like the Diamond plus something, or Heart plus Diamond, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was
For the announcements,
piece.
yeah.
And yeah, Platinum is 70. So I don't know, certainly a lot of people would have been around back there, but maybe for the majority, certainly of our generation, our like circle, it's unprecedented.
Yeah.
So yeah. But otherwise, yeah, just the usual work, eat, sleep, Doctor Who, repeat.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Oh, hello, Mr. Bonk Cactus. Welcome to the stream. And hello,
Hello, hello.
Doctor TV.
Hello.
It's Doctor Who TV here is the Furious Time Lord Cyberman Adventures renamed. Welcome back. 8 months
Welcome
away.
back.
Right. So, how about you, Ben? How have you been occupying yourself?
I was brushing with some Doctor Who stars, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, met Jodie Whittaker. She told me the title of the centenary special.
You got to keep
Can't
your lips
reveal
sealed,
that.
though.
Yeah,
Long live the
can't
Queen.
can't reveal that information. Yeah, that was fun meeting Jodie. So that was cool. Sacha Dhawan and Joe Martin. So yeah, it's quite nice to tick off some Chibnall era people. But that was fun. That's cool doing that.
Did you see the slight bit of chaos out on Twitter when Joe Martin?
When isn't there Twitter?
Yeah, true. Joe Martin tweeted out, met Tom Baker, and it's a picture of her with Colin. And then she corrected herself by saying, sorry, I meant Colin, and added just some random guy called Colin.
And she added like a random Tom as well. It was great.
Yeah, it's like a random
wonderful.
Tom Baker.
Oh, that was wonderful. That was great.
I mean, you can't expect Joe Martin to know Sawbones Hex is his Twitter handle.
Sawbone is like a word for doctor on a pirate ship, and obviously hex is hexagon, which is 6 lanes. So I don't know.
There's a bit of detective work on her part, though. What is your opinion on the collection season 2 announcement? Asked Glenn Skywalker.
It's good to have a 60 set, really.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I mean, it makes sense. It's the 60 set that makes the most sense with it being nearly complete, bar 2 episodes. So I'm excited to put it on the shelf.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the restoration's like, and get the new special features. Really, I feel like the collection box sets. You sort of, I feel like I'm already over season 2 in a way because I'm like, right, what's the next one?
I think I'm still reasonably hyped for season 2 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll probably be out early November because I think the BFI screenings October.
Yeah, unless they do what they did with Abominable and have it out in October as well.
That's unless it gets delayed. You know, these things always get delayed.
I think also it's going to be interesting just having the 9-disc one, like seeing the size of it in person.
Yes. Yeah, because we used to like the 8 discs, isn't it? With like Logopolis.
Yeah, that's the standard size of these, I'd say. Yeah, I remember when I got season 19, I was just caught off guard by how thick that one was at 8 discs.
Like, because when you get like season 12 and 10, they're like really tiny.
Yeah, it's amazing how much difference just a disc or two can make, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You wonder how many more discs they can reasonably take, because some of them, they do fall apart a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Their weight.
They're not made to last, these like deluxe collection versions.
You've got to take care of them.
Yeah.
Doctor Who TV says, I got new glasses in June this year. Congratulations. Mr. Bonk Cactus says, interesting story I heard. I don't know if it's true. Says Queen stopped breeding her dogs because she didn't want them to last longer than her. It's an interesting conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Would she want her line to continue in that sense as well?
I don't know. It's a dog. Dogs.
Yeah.
It's
a dog-eat-dog world.
Pretty much, isn't it? If it was released on the 31st of October, it would be the 58th anniversary of season 2's first episode. So there we go.
Yeah,
Planet of Giants. I guess, yeah. Planet of Giants is open.
31st.
Weird, isn't it? Planet of Giants opens the season.
31st is a Monday as well.
There we go.
So
it could be, yeah. It's a good shout.
Entirely impossible. Yeah.
It's a good shout.
I suppose going from the the next Doctor Who release to the previous one, how did you feel about the Abominable Snowmen as a story itself? Like, we'll save animation talk for later when we got to the tier list. But what did you think of this as a story? Was it your first experience of it, or?
For me, this is one of the rare cases where I read the target book before I experienced any like the soundtrack or the animation. So the Abominable Snowman's always sort of been that one of you as a fan, you have that sort of mythical story where you're like you're having a fascination about a story.
Yeah,
I feel like I had that with Abominable Snowman because it just seemed like this very quite mystical thing. You'd see the location photos of like Snowdon. And you sort of I listened to a soundtrack in 2013 and I just sort of fell in love with it, really. I really like it. I think it's got a great
episode as well, if you need a glimpse on Lost in Time for ages.
And the restoration on this, I mean, if you have the Blu-ray, you're in for a treat for episode 2 because it's stunning, those film inserts, really. And it's one of those ones where like I really wish we had the full thing.
Yeah, especially because they spent like a whole week out there, didn't they, on location? So there would have been a substantial amount of film footage throughout there, which could have looked gorgeous on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's just I think I really like it. I think there's a nice atmosphere to it, and it's good. Oh, how about yourself? Is this your first time experiencing Abominable?
This is my first time experiencing it proper. I had watched a recon of episode 1 before, and then obviously seen episode 2 many times through Lost in Time. But yeah, I just never. I don't know. Recons maybe just don't do it for me. Like in long-term things, I could do with it for an episode or 2 to like fill in those gaps. But yeah, I've just never been able to get as much of a handle on them, and so I think that's probably why I stopped with Abominable after episode 2. Like, it's just one of those things that I didn't have the enthusiasm enough to go back. It was just like, I'll put it off later. Then before you know it, it's been like too long, and you've just moved on from it. I probably had the same thing with Dalek's Master Plan as well, I believe. So yeah, this was my first full experience of the story, and it's kind of shocking how little the Yeti are in it, or how little they do in it.
They're sort of background furniture, really, aren't they?
Yeah, like they don't even roar in this story, do they? It's not until
they're just silent.
Which just almost feels wrong.
They're good. I think because of like the photos of location, I think it's made them quite synonymous. And like you speak to people like Paul McGann's, like I remember the Yeti, so they've become this sort of iconic thing in like Joe Public's eye, really.
Yeah, I think it's just because of that iconic idea of Yetis in the underground. Like, there's something about that that's just so perfectly Doctor Who, and this idea of taking something that doesn't belong somewhere and putting it there anyway, and it just working so well. And for us Doctor Who fans, it just then becomes perfectly reasonable. Like, I defy any Doctor Who fan, or like classic Who fan more so, to go on the underground and not have Web of Fear pop into your heads at least.
Yeah.
Unless like perhaps you live in London and you do it every day, then I'll forgive it. But if going on the underground is a bit more of a rare event for you, then Web of Fear is always going to come to mind, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you go Covent Garden, you're like, right, the Yeti going to pop out any minute now.
Yeah, you're going to get your Tomb of the Side and then music playing.
Oh, great.
So I think as a Yeti story, I do prefer the Web of Fear, but it's not a bad first story for them. I think they're both two solid stories, really. And it's interesting with them because Web of Fear is very much a sequel, isn't it? It's not just another story featuring Yeti and Great Intelligence. It is a direct follow-up to it. You got Travers back and such. And, it's sort of the Great Intelligence using its knowledge of the Doctor from the first time against him in the second. Jamie and Victoria both back in it. Yeah, it is.
I think it's a great story for Victoria Abominable Snowmen.
Oh, definitely.
I think it's a better story for Victoria.
Yeah, she gets to use a lot of her intuition, doesn't she?
She's got a great agency, I think, in Abominable.
Yeah. Like when she fakes being poisoned by the glass and
Yes,
sneak out and
very
stuff.
good.
Like, she has her screaming damsel moments as well, but she is nevertheless snooping around a lot. She's trying to get to the bottom of things.
Yeah, she wants to know who this mysterious Pamba Sambavar is.
Hmm.
More on him
Nice.
later.
Yeah. I think it also builds to quite a nice climax. But I
Hmm.
think both Yeti stories, when it comes to Henry Lincoln and is it Mervyn Haseman?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to their writing style, they are very good at doing like a fairly slow burn and then building it up to quite a big payoff in the end.
Doesn't happen to the Dominators.
Well, I suppose they didn't get to do that in the end, did they? Because
No.
the final episode was meant to be like 2 episodes written by them. But instead, we got 1 episode written by Derek Sherwin to finish it off.
Yeah. And it would have been interesting to know what that third Yeti story would have been.
Yeah.
Because like
And
the
again,
invasion you have mentioned of them going to find Professor Travers, and you're like, how would that have worked? Like Tobias Vaughan and Travers, that would have been an interesting sort of story, really, and showdown.
And I think they were considering having it be Travers, weren't they? But I think because of the whole fallout, I don't know whether they asked about it or if they just thought, you know, we won't bother, we'll create our own character. But then again, they used the Brigadier, so sure.
I think maybe Jack Watling was too high for their budget.
Yeah, I suppose so. Like, while you've got Deborah Watling around, you've sort of got that more enthusiasm for him to come along, perhaps.
Because what's quite interesting is, you know, they get royalties for like DVDs, don't they? Deborah Watling's royalties for both Enemy and Web of Fear weren't as much as Jack Watling got for Web of Fear, when that was split between like all of Deborah Watling's family.
Oh, wow.
So it just shows like the money he must get for his royalties.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been around for the Web of Fear animation, would she?
No, I would be. It's a shame she can't experience the Abominable Snowman, because I think that might possibly be my favorite Victoria story.
Do you mean story like for Victoria or
Yeah, for
favorite story
Victoria.
of Victoria? Yeah. I think it definitely is up there for her. Glenn Skulk says, "Did you know that Victoria is the first '60s companion to have her stories completed by animation?" Yeah, I did. That's quite a, I suppose, honor for her in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially given that 10 years ago, her only complete story was The Tomb of the Cybermen. And all that, it was very, like, scattered bits. Whereas now, with Enemy of the World and Web of Fear returning, followed by several animations, it's suddenly built up and a lot more people get to experience this character.
No, it's just good, really. It is good.
I think it's one of the interesting things about this like wave of animations, isn't it? I feel like it's brought in new fans who wouldn't usually go into Classic Who. Certainly
I think
not
because you have the option of color animation.
Yeah.
I think
like,
that
because
opens up a lot of doors for people.
Yeah, and because a lot of them are more modern products in a way, they're trying to like widen the scope of it a bit.
But yeah, should we talk about the animations now? Because I
think we're sort of drifting into it now.
We're drifting into it. So,
I mean, do you want to give a quick score for Abominable out of 10?
I'd go 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think 8's a fair rating for it. I think it does dip a bit in the middle. But yeah,
that's the nature of like a 6-parter, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think maybe more parts like 4 and part 4 mostly for me is where it slows down a bit. I think part 3 went surprisingly quickly.
Yeah, because part 4 is like, Victoria, what are you doing? Stay there. No, we've got to get to the TARDIS. Yeah,
it's quite a bit of back and forth and like fumbling about in the monastery and on the mountain, isn't it? Really, like you don't feel like much has changed by the time you get to the end of it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And also, I'm surprised by how little Travis is in the story as a whole. Like when you watch the Web of Fear and think
Yeah.
about how prominently they talk about it, but he disappears for a good chunk of it in the middle.
Yeah, because he goes off to actually find the Yeti.
Hmm. And you feel like he would be a lot closer given how fond he is of them in Web. But yeah, I do like that dynamic with him though, of them starting out quite antagonistic towards each other, with him thinking the Doctor's responsible for
Yeah, it's like press.
murdering his friend. Yeah, and then they slowly build up more of that rapport, and then by the time he re-meets them 40 years later, for him, he's very fondly disposed towards them. Treats them as old friends, so it's nice that character progression. I always like that when you start with the characters who are at each other's throats and then become very good friends by the end. So yeah, I suppose animation now.
Yeah, we've been really lucky since 2016 to fill in a load of gaps like season 4 and season 5. We've filled all those practically on our shelves now. But there's sort of two styles of animation, isn't there? Two eras, as it were. You have the more sort of traditional, we're going to base it as if it was a 60s product, and then you have the more imaginative, artistic license of, hey, let's fully embellish this story like Macroterra.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference on what animation you prefer?
I think usually for me it is the stick more true to its style, and sort of usually then it's more filling in the gaps though, isn't it? Like for a lot of those stories, because they only had the budget to do, I think I'm not sure whether it was strictly 2 episodes per story or they did it half the story was what they're
Yeah, because that's how it
never
sort of.
got.
We never got full stories until I think Faceless ones, where it was like we're going to reanimate an episode we actually have in the archive.
Yeah, that was sort of like the start of. This is very much like the animation is its own product, even more so. And then in Galaxy 4 and Abominable Snowmen, the original episode is a special feature, like sort of hidden away. At least with Faceless ones, it's sort of there as an option when you go to the episode selection. Yeah.
But I feel obliged to watch the actual episode, so it's a bit awkward if you're watching the colour and you're like, oh, I've got to swap discs just to go for it, really.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to doing this tier list, there are certainly 1 or 2 episodes I haven't watched the animation for because I switched to the original product. So, but I think, never. We still it's still 5/6 or 6/7 of the story that has been watched. So I think it's fair enough to judge from there. Yeah,
I mean, I think for me, if there is an episode what exists, I'm gonna watch that over the animation.
Yeah, usually. I think the only time it sometimes does, if I'm going color, then I will usually not switch between black and white and color. I'll just go the whole color animation. If I'm going black and white, I'll usually switch to the original if there are any.
I mean,
they can tell they're made for that because it's done in 4:3 when it's black and white, if that's the case.
Because that's the annoying thing with like some like the recent animations is that if you watch the black and white version, it is cropped, so you kind of miss half of it on screen. Because I think they're more designed for color for the American audience, really.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the deal with BBC America funding them, wasn't it? It's like if they're going to fund it, it has to also be done in color. And then when they didn't do it with Power, BBC America went ahead and paid another company to color it in anyway, didn't they?
Which is not on this tier list because it's
no,
pointless.
I mean, with this tier list, you'll see soon, it is just like the ones we don't have separate categories for it, black and white or color, because that sort of feels a bit pedantic, and I think with most of it would be in the same place anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for me with Abominable, I've only watched the black and white version because I wanted to see episode 2. Because normally I go for the color, just to see what that's like. I know I'm a bit
Yeah.
against the purists there, but
I think, for me, it very much just depends on what my mood is when I come to watch it, really. So,
I think certain stories are more designed for color, like
yeah,
Macra's
Macra
definitely
definitely is.
you have to have the color.
Yeah, I feel like
Um,
Fury from the Deep as well is another one that feels right. Usually, it's if the black and white is literally just the same, and it's not even cropped to 4:3. That's the ones where I think this is definitely just made for color, and they've just given the black and white as an option to be pedantic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas with the ones where you have the existing episode, it feels like it's done so that you can watch it as one flowing thing, like you could back in the day with things like the Moon Base and the Invasion. Yeah, it's interesting how we divide up these two eras, though, because it's very much like the original DVD range era, and then the post more
Revival,
specific,
isn't it? Renaissance, isn't it?
full-on animation era, where they're no longer just there to fill in the gaps; they're there to be a complete product in themselves. And then, like we say, even when there is existing episodes, they'll animate those as well, so you have a complete animated product, and then the existing as a bonus. And yet, despite that divide of the two eras, the Invasion is actually way before most of that. Like the gap between the Invasion and Reign of Terror was the next one, is longer than the gap between the Moon Base, like the end of this DVD era, and Power of the Daleks at the start of the next era. So it's funny how the Invasion is very much off on its own and was the only animated story for ages, because that was 2006, and then 2013 was when animation sort of flared up again, and we got 3 in 1 year with
I
that.
think Cosgrove Hall, I think they were believed to be doing Power of the Daleks because they did like a little teaser of that. And I think Evil as well. And I don't want to sound mean, but I kind of wish they did it.
Yeah, so I think it was the Invasion just didn't quite sell well enough, didn't it?
This is gonna sound really weird, but as a kid, because there was like whole articles about this as a lost classic coming back, it was like this big event for like little 8-year-old me. I was like, this is going to be a really rare DVD and hard to get. It's not, but it felt like a big occasion for me. Going, wow, I've got this like sacred story.
Yeah, it feels very exciting, especially an 8-parter as well. Like the only 8-parter in Doctor Who history. There's something quite special about that. And you got that little animated Troughton on the cover as well, haven't you? That little sticker of him. There is something quite.
And that like little animated trailer, like Sidemen in the Rain by St. Paul's, like that little artistic flourish was like great.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand why they did that, because otherwise there'd only be an animated Cyberman for a couple of seconds with like the opening of the cocoon, because they don't appear until end of episode 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll gush over that animation itself very soon.
Yeah.
The animation itself, just a wonderful story.
Best Troughton story. This is a hard thing with this tier list I'm going to find, because it's like separating the story from the animation.
Very much so.
Because like your bias might lean into certain things. I don't know.
But I think it's funny because it can go both ways, because sometimes a iffy animation you can feel even more annoyed by if you've got a brilliant story that it's not serving well enough. Whereas if you have a okay story matched with okay animation, you'll feel better towards that.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose one example of that would be sort of giving away where things might go here, but Galaxy 4 and Fury from the Deep. Like, I think Fury from the Deep, I'm not a fan of the animation there, but I would say it's a better story. Whereas Galaxy 4, it's an alright story. It's probably about the same quality animation as Fury, maybe a bit better. But I feel more strongly about my hate to Fury than I do towards Galaxy 4, because Galaxy 4 is not worth the effort of hating on that animation, I suppose, because the story's not good enough to justify it.
That's interesting.
We'll see where that goes. But yeah, certainly. I did rewatch Galaxy 4 recently, actually, in black and white with the original episode, because when it first came out, I did the color and I just never touched it again. So yeah, so as homework for this, I thought I might see how it lands. But yeah, we'll share more about that when we get to tier list.
Yeah.
Doctor Who TV says tier list a few minutes. Shall we go for it?
Yeah, I apologize if you get kicked out of the stream because of my mouse. Unless you want to open the tier list just for safety, I don't know.
I could do, I suppose.
But I can load it up ready.
Oh, what have it? Oh, I've clicked on the wrong thing here.
Well done. Sad to think that this will be the last animation for a while. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But we're a year away from the 60th. It makes you think, surely we could have something for that. Maybe there's episodes found. Who knows? That's just wishful thinking. Yeah, it's a bizarre one, isn't it, really?
Okay. There we go. I found the presentation mode for it. Okay, so if I do share screen. Okay, I'm now sharing.
Now if I add that to stream, has that worked? There we go.
Here we are. So top tier here, we have It Is Impossible to Distinguish from the Original. Bit of a Dalek line from the chase about the very different looking Hartnell stand-in. Followed by Brilliant, Pretty Great, Serviceable, Subpar, and finally Burn It All Over Again for the ones where it would have been better off if we just had the soundtrack and it was left to our imaginations. So, there we are.
This is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting indeed.
I think this might be one of the ones where our opinions differ more so. But yeah, I think certainly more towards the end. I think we'll probably start off on the same page.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, The Invasion, do you want to take it away with this one?
Arguably one of the best. I think that it's such a strong start. I think stylistically, I like it how it sort of captured that noir feel to it. Yeah, I think it's a great animation.
Yeah, it really does lean into the black and white, doesn't it? There's great use of shadows throughout. Like, there's moments where the Doctor and Jamie are sort of like just silhouettes. And so that allows for them to be a bit more animated, doesn't it? A bit more lively. Because I can't remember what the technique's called, but they literally film someone walking along, don't they? And then they paint over that pretty much in animation to it.
You definitely get that with the helicopter sequence, don't you?
Yeah. But it's great use of stuff like that, and it fits the tone of The Invasion perfectly as well. Like, it's a style that maybe wouldn't have worked for every story, but I think here it matches perfectly with The Invasion. And
I think as well, our rotoscoping. There we go.
Yeah, there it is.
I think for me as well, what I love about The Invasion is the character designs, that they feel very lifelike, and I think, and they're quite detailed, and I think you kind of lose that with the recent batch of them. I think that the likenesses are way more stronger in the original animation run than
they're going a bit more cartoony, aren't they, with some of the boys?
Yeah.
It's
and I prefer the more
different.
realistic feel to me.
It's certainly more angular, isn't it? It's like there's less detail there in these early ones in some way. Like the Invasion style particular is very angular, but it gets all the necessary detail in there.
I feel like the likenesses are better.
Yeah, that's true. It's less caricature at the same time.
Yeah, I think maybe because it's in black and white, it probably lends itself more to for animation style. I don't know. Again, you could say the same for most of these because they have a black and white version as well. But I think that it just works better. Really, the designs in this one.
Yeah. I think also in terms of how it fills in the gap, because it is there to be 2 parts of this 8-parter, isn't it? There is a seamless flow when you're watching it. I think it helps that it's very much directed in the same style as Douglas Camfield, and directed in the same style as Classic Who in general. There are quite a few like close-up shots.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of later animations lost that quite a bit. They often go for the more far away shots, don't they?
Yeah, with
Like
characters that are lying through from the deep.
Yeah. And you like see the whole cat. Whereas here, it's very true to the camera angles that would have been used at the time. Like, there's that beautiful shot right at the start where Patrick Troughton just comes into view, like leaning over the console. So, you still have some embellishments here as well, because there's that spaceship at the start which wasn't in the original, and I think they even added sound effect for that as well, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's not glaringly out of place.
It's just like a little bit of fun, whereas sometimes the
Yeah.
later animations maybe drift more into. It sort of feels like that. Oh, this was good, but we can do better, can't we? Whereas this just feels like a bit of fun to add to it. It doesn't feel like it's putting the original down.
Yeah, because I feel like when you get to like Sharda and Faceless ones, it's like we're gonna put all these little Easter eggs in, which are fun, but and they don't add anything to the story. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, certainly by the time you get to Fury from the Deep, that's when the Easter eggs always go too over the top, because you got a master poster in pretty much every room. When, like with Faceless ones, it makes sense to have the master there on. I mean, it was both the Dewan master and the Delgado master, wasn't it? It sort of makes sense to have him in an airport. The airport security would be on the lookout for him at that time.
Then you get like Magpie Electronics and all that sort of thing. And I think Sharda had JW13 on a number plate for Jodie Whittaker, if you didn't know.
No. Yeah, just like little bits of fun like that. But then Fury from the Deep, it's master poster everywhere, and it's not even in a place that you reasonably would want one.
Yeah, on like a rig. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. But yeah, I suppose with I think after that it sort of disappeared for the most part, because there's less room for it in those other stories. I'm sure there's little Easter eggs in there somewhere, but not as glaringly obvious ones. I mean, Invasion even, there's Bad Wolf written on the wall, isn't there?
Oh, is there? It's been a while since I've watched it. I can't say.
I've honestly never seen it though.
No,
like I've definitely heard it's meant to be there.
The only reason I can think where it would be is like on like the train.
Oh no, it's the wall that Isabel writes everything on.
Oh, okay.
She can't lose the wall. Apparently, it's written as one of the bits on there. Like presumably, just while they were scribbling different things to have filled a space. Bad Wolf.
That's fine.
Up. Yeah, but I've never spotted it. I saw
that's always homework. Next time we watch that.
Yeah. I sort of always forget about it when that scene comes up. I feel like it's something that you probably got to pause and have a scan over it all just to find it. But yeah, Invasion. Where are you putting it?
I say top tier.
Yeah, I mean, was there ever any doubt?
No, well, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, this is the thing. Chat, let us know your favorite animations. Do you have a favorite? I mean, Macroterra, that seems to be quite a popular one, Evil of the Daleks. But do you have a favorite animation? Or has Abominable Snowman been like a secret dark horse? Yeah, be interesting to know.
Yeah. And certainly, I feel like animation, even more so than a lot of other things in Who fandom, has a lot of different opinions on. Like I've seen people who despise the moon-based animation, which I mean, I don't know why, but
spoilers, it's great.
Yeah, we will get to that one. But yeah, Reign of Terror for now. This was the first one by Big Finish Creative, wasn't it? Or was it even Big
Planet
Finish Creative?
Planet 55, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think Big Finish were involved in it as well. Or was it not until 10th Planet?
I think it was same. Planet 55 did Rain and 10th Planet and Moon based, didn't they? Because they've got the same art style.
So they refine it a lot more as they go along. Yeah. I think the Reign of Terror is one that's mocked for its quick cut cuts between shots. Like you have that one scene. It's the infamous. It's probably just a chill, and in the space of that line, you've got about 4 different shots for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't think it does it too much.
I think for me, it's trying to do too much.
Really?
I think in terms of like the facial movements, it feels like it's a bit like how Dalek operators have to like be constantly moving to prove that there's something inside.
Yeah.
And I think this is what the animation version of it, like William Hartnell's face is doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, that's true. Certainly when you get the close-ups on this one, it's not as flattering. But I do like a lot of the action scene. Like that.
Yeah.
It's another great use of shadows with the silhouettes of the soldiers a lot of the time. I think that's very well done.
It's
I
got a
think,
lot of that rotoscoping, as we were saying earlier.
yeah. I think it's when you have shots like that and shots that are further away when this story excels a lot more. When they are a bit more close up, particularly front on with Hartnell.
It's going for that hyper realistic, and it becomes Uncanny Valley, I think, at that point.
Yeah, that's. Where would you put it on the tier list?
Well, I would say, I'd say pretty good, pretty great.
I'd agree there. Actually, I was expecting you to go lower.
No, spoiler, I really like the Planet 55 animations.
I mean, I think even a lot of people who do like it do still rate this one a lot lower. Because they certainly refine the style more as they go on.
Yeah, I think that it is the weakest of the Planet 55 stuff.
But I think it's underrated. It gets an unfair rap.
Yeah.
So now we come to the Ice Warriors, which is the only one by, is it Curios?
Yeah.
It's like with a Q though, isn't it? Yeah. It's an interesting style. Feels more in line with what you get later with Fury from the Deep and Abominable Snowman. It's more that sort of style, isn't it?
Which I guess if you were marathoning season 5, there's a nice consistency there.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's true. Yeah, it's almost even more rounded and almost like not chibi, but certainly cartoony. Like when you compare Troughton in this to Troughton in all the other.
Why has he got a beard? Why has he got a beard?
It's very thick lines, isn't it?
And I think, as a kid when you're at primary school, you'd make like a human and you have like little pins in the arms and you'd move it.
Yeah, they feel
the movement's very like that within this.
You can see the joints, can't you?
Yes.
You can see where it's all stitched together, I suppose. I'm not a fan, to be honest.
I think it's serviceable, and I think this is the bad thing with the Ice Warriors is that it's kind of early on. You don't get time to sort of get used to the actual story because it's like 2 and 3. Oh, we're in animation. I feel like if it was maybe part 3 and 4, you'd be more forgiving.
I feel like it doesn't work out too badly because by the time you finished episode 6, you've sort of forgotten about the animation.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, Reign of Terror is sort of like the opposite, really, isn't it? Because that's 4 and 5 that are missing.
Yeah.
But with that, I don't think it works out too badly for that one.
I think with Reign of Terror, you're more like, I want to see what this animation's like. Because we had this really nice flashy trailer to promote it.
Oh, yeah, Hartnell and the TARDIS.
Which was wonderful, with like the TARDIS and the Vortex. Oh, stunning.
Yeah, and I suppose it was like the first return of animation, wasn't it? In 6 years after the invasion.
And one of my favourite DVD covers in the range. I love that cover.
Beautiful. A wonderful story as well.
Underrated, I'd say.
But yeah, it's one of my favourite historicals.
But yeah, 10th Planet.
This is a interesting one because it's almost more anime inspired, isn't it?
Yeah, very anime with like the shot choices
Hmm.
and the
I suppose,
designs.
yeah. It's also interesting because it's episode 4. It's the final episode of a story.
Yeah.
Like with all the other ones in the DVD era, you get like at least you do always get the ending. With the Moonbase, you don't get the beginning, but yeah, you get. Whereas this, you've got like your 3 episodes of existing material, and then suddenly you're thrown into animation at the end. But it doesn't jar again.
No, it's because it's got that sort of realistic feel. It doesn't feel like a bit jarring.
Yeah, like have you seen? Like I think Curioso did the Ice Warriors. They also did like a demo reel of a couple of other ones. And have you seen like the very awkward cartoony Hartnell in the 10th Planet
Yeah.
with the
Yes.
Cyberman behind?
Yeah.
It throws off the tone entirely, doesn't it?
Yes.
Whereas this animation that we actually got perfectly suits it. I think the use of the Cybermen within it, like the movements of them, feel very much like a man in a suit still.
And I think the way it manipulates the lighting for the Cybermen in episode 4 in particular is great. Like it's got all those artistic liberties, but don't feel too out of place for 62. Where you're
Yeah,
like, that's really creepy. I like it, especially when you get the Cybermen in sort of the radiation reactor room thing. Yeah,
I
especially
think
when they
maybe
crumple away. Good stuff.
yeah, that's brilliantly done. I think maybe the one flaw with it is Polly sometimes looks really odd, like very blocky. She looks a bit unwell.
Well, you could say that about poor Fraser Hines. He doesn't look great in some of the animations. I don't think they've ever got Fraser Hines' likeness right in the recent batch of animations.
Yeah, sometimes. I think Invasion, they get it perfect, don't they?
Moon bases, chef kiss for Jamie.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, I suppose they just got to have him lying in the bed for the most part, haven't they?
Yeah, so it's quite easy to draw him, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose they just copy it from existing episode 2.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly Polly. She looks very black around the eyes. It's just. Luckily, she's not in the story too much, so it's not as obvious a flaw. But yeah, for some reason, they couldn't quite get women right in this style for this story. But I love the shaking of the eyes that you get a lot to just add that bit of life to characters. I mean, I'd say it's either brilliant or impossible to distinguish from the original. How about you?
I'd go brilliant.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not a fave, but it's up there.
It's all good. So now here we are, the Moonbase. We talked about it a bit, didn't we?
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, my favourite of them all, I must say. I think it's got an interesting challenge because it's 2 episodes of animation, 2 episodes of survivor material, and it's like jumping back and forth between them. It's 1 and 3 animated, and 2 and 4 are still there. But it never jars. You never feel like it's a chore to get through the animation just to get to the existing material. In fact, sometimes it almost feels like the opposite, doesn't it? Because the animation is so gorgeous. It's so well done.
Best character design models in the entire of animation.
Yeah.
Like the Cybermen are great. The way the light reflects off their helmets. Oh, so good.
The scene of them marching
it's very
out at the end of
authentic, isn't
episode
it?
3. Yeah, the way that's done, the way they kick the dust up, the rising of the hangar opening, and like the shadow of that as the light hits the Cybermen.
It's just the use of shadow is great within this, which really is the story, isn't it? Because it's like Cybermen skulking in the dark, and it uses that and creates that nice atmosphere the Moonbase has. Like the thing you'll get with Fury from the Deep, the atmosphere is lost, whereas this keeps that atmosphere and it heightens it even more. I'd say the animated stories. Yeah,
because they're able to control it a lot more, aren't they?
Yes.
I suppose similar to the animation, of the invasion, it's very much making use of the fact that it's black and white, isn't it? Making use of those shadows.
Mhm.
You have like that scene where it's the shadow of the Cyberman, and then it's only me, mate, as Ben turns up instead. You got stuff
Yeah.
like that you wouldn't really be able to do in live action, certainly not easily, and certainly not back in the 60s. But yeah, whereas here, I think the invasion uses it more to a noir style. This doesn't quite do that because that's not the tone of the story. And so that works well for it at the same time. But yeah, just the detail in it, but also the detail in everything. It's like sometimes you get later animations where it's a hyper detailed background and a more cartoony people inhabiting it, and it just doesn't feel right. It jars, doesn't it?
Yeah, the 3D elements don't quite match the 2D character designs.
Yeah. I think they've learnt their mistake from the Reign of Terror here, where everything's not overly animated, but everything feels alive. It feels like it's breathing. Just because of like little touches. Like often the characters are very still, but there's just a bit of eye movement or a little bit of a flickering of the finger. Like that's something that they've never really. I think it's because they abandoned rotoscoping for a lot of later stuff.
Mhm.
Like there are a few examples, like Troughton throwing the ball in the Faceless Ones is rotoscoped. But yeah, certainly it's a technique that I think the animations should have used more of, because you have a lot of close-up shots of hands moving about, and when it's animated hands, you can tell. Whereas in the Moonbase in particular, where it's the rotoscope stuff, it feels so real because I mean it is real and it's just animated over.
Hmm.
Uh,
And then you
I
look at Padma Var moving the Yetis. Doesn't quite work. You can see his hand go through one of the little models.
yeah, and I think again it's that thing of the Yeti models are hyper detailed.
Yes.
Padma's hand is extremely simple. So,
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing is that with these, there's like different animation models almost for depending on whether you're up close or far away.
You definitely
Like,
get that in the 2020 Power of the Daleks.
I mean, they even use the Macroterra model of
Yes. Yeah.
don't they? Bit whereas in later animations, they'll use the same model whether they're up really close or far away. So it's when you're up close, you can really tell that there's not much detail on them.
Mhm.
Whereas
It's all
here,
it's all done on the cheap, isn't it? The animations, like the recent batch. It's like, what assets have we got? What assets can we reuse for these next ones? Really.
yeah. And I mean, to be fair, the Moonbase is done fairly cheap as well. Like you have that shot of Hobson walking around from the foreground to the from the background to the foreground, and they reuse that several times.
Mhm.
But you forgive it, and it works still, doesn't it? Like it doesn't need to be done any differently just for the sake of it. I think it's worked within its constraints to come up with something brilliant, whereas sometimes a lot of the later animations don't quite manage that. But also, I think it's mainly just because the animators don't have enough time. Like they are having to do 6 whole episodes. So I think it's important to note that a lot of our criticisms are not based personally at the animators themselves. Like they
Yeah.
were doing the best they could with the short time scale they had available to them. Like we're going to be talking about Power of the Daleks 2016 very soon, and they've openly admitted that they were rushed for that. Like they wanted way more time, and thankfully they did get to provide closer to what they wanted to when they had a chance to go out again and do a special edition in 2020. But yeah, certainly the limitations and the fact it was rushed shows in the 2016 version. But Moonbase works brilliant within its constraints, just is gorgeous overall. It's impossible to distinguish from the original. Was there ever
Yeah.
any doubt?
It's my favorite animation. So
Same.
yeah.
I a lot of people do go for the invasion, and I think it's a very, very close second. But the Moonbase is just everything the invasion does, but often slightly better. It's just got that edge on.
It's more heightened, I think.
Yeah, it is a bit more realistic. Like I said about the invasion, while it's got the likeness of the Doctor down perfectly, it is a bit more angular.
And because they were going to do Underwater Menace, and you get a glimpse of what that could have looked like in episode 1 of the Moon Base.
Yeah, because Men and Polly are in their shell costumes, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's sort of like, damn, wish we got that.
Yeah. Well, Polly's in a shell costume. Ben's in his
Diver.
diver. Yeah, I don't.
And
Is
Jamie, I
Jamie
think,
and the
as well.
Doctor as well?
Yeah, I think they all are. Yeah.
Yeah, because those assets would have been reused. That would have been great to see.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if they even started work on it, how far they might have gotten.
Yeah, because I'm surprised like no footage of it has actually like leaked or gone, here's what this would have looked like.
Yeah, I mean, that was a whole other saga, wasn't it? The Underwater Menace, like when the DVD range ended, and we were just wondering for ages, how long was it going to be until we got that? I remember it was like late at night after I got back from a holiday in Spain. I was like on that bus back from the airport terminal to go to the car park.
Yeah.
And so it's like dark out, it's been a long day, and suddenly I saw Underwater Menace is finally getting a DVD release. And I was hyped for it. And then we got that telesnap, if you can even call it that.
Arguably the worst DVD release in the Doctor Who line.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
Cool.
I don't think that's too far to say. I think it is the worst.
I mean, again, that's through no fault of the producers of it, because they said, we will do a more detailed, like similar to the Web of Fear in 2014, like style of recon for you. But BBC were like, no, we don't want that. Give us just a slideshow, and don't even reuse the image. Don't even use the title sequence.
Yeah, which is mental.
It is so bizarre. Like, it very much feels like they're like a child who's told they have to do something. Like, well, I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to do it well. I'm just going to do it. It's like, you have to release this DVD.
Like, at least the special features are nice on it. It makes it worth it, if that.
But they were ones that were done before, weren't they?
Yeah, they were like remnants.
It was just stuff that they had to get out there. Like the television center of the universe. It's like more designed for a Fifth Doctor, probably a Fifth Doctor special edition they didn't get round to when the DVD range ended. And so it's just like, shove it on there, get it out, because we've got it in this vault, we might as well share it with people. But there we go. It's certainly a bit of a spread so far, isn't it, for this era of animations. We're now shifting on into the next era of animations with Power of the Daleks 2016. What an exciting time this was.
The hype was unreal.
And then the letdown when it finally came out was even more unreal.
Oh, celebrating 50 years of a second Doctor, what a perfect way to celebrate it by giving us his first story. Oh dear.
It is very stilted.
It's got a lot of dead air.
Yeah, it really does. The running as well, like at times, where Ben and the Doctor have to run out of
run like a rabbit.
Yeah, run out of the capsule room. It's so awkward. Again, it's like you said with the pins of the character in the Ice Warriors. It's that, but even worse. The likenesses are a bit weird.
Yeah, the likenesses are completely out.
Troughton looks stoned a lot of the time.
He looks like a stoned pigeon.
Yeah, that is very much an apt description of him.
But I will give this one a point over the 2021.
Why is that?
Because it has check trousers and Troughton. Yeah. It actually has him playing the recorder in the TARDIS and doing the little dance. So I will give it a point there.
But an effort was made.
And they tried. And like you say, the movement's shoddy, especially when like the Daleks are going on their massacre and they just slowly shuffle off screen. You're like, oh, this is painful.
Yeah. It does such a disservice to the original. Like, any sense of atmosphere is lost, really. Like, I'll give them props for sticking with the black and white. Because that is very much, it's sort of like one of those things that's almost essential to the story. And they say themselves in the booklet about it, about how, you know, it's part of the character of it. There are some 60s Who stories that you could get away with adding color to, but Power isn't one of them. I think they also mentioned Fury from the Deep, funnily enough, was one that you could get away with adding color to, but obviously that didn't stick.
Web of Fear's one as well, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say that too. But yeah, I mean, is it Burn It All Over Again, or is it just subpar?
I'd say subpar. I think
Fair
there are worse animations, to be honest.
We shall see. I mean, a better animation though is Sharda, the 2017 version.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's amazing how much they improved, like in that time. I suppose it's because they had a lot less to animate this time around,
I
and they
think
were probably
with the
given
new
an
audio.
an adequate run of time as well to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even a bigger budget for Tom, because they knew it would sell well.
Yeah, and I think that it is a good animation. I think the character likenesses are like Romana, not solid.
Again, it's weird, isn't it? It seems to more be women that they struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Female characters seem to be harder to animate than male for whatever reason.
But I like the 3D elements don't seem that too out of place, like the actual Skagra's ball. Out of context, that sounded weird. But,
Skagra's singular ball.
Singular ball.
Yeah, certainly when you compare it to Abominable Snowmen, the color version of that with the ball in it stands out so much more than it does in Sharda. It's because it's basically the same thing, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean,
I think K9's great within it. Like, he's that nice 3D element.
Yeah.
The 3D elements are great within these recent batch of animations, like the Daleks, the Chumblies.
Yeah. It's when they're 3D but still feel 2D coloured in. It's like cell shaded style, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think as an overall product as well, it works so well. It so seamlessly flows because this not only has the challenge of mixing animation and live action like has been done before, but it's got to actively switch from one to the other within scenes. It's not just episode to episode. It is sometimes from one scene to the next, you're going from a live action to an animation, which works insanely well a lot of the time. Like, there's that brilliant shot where the Doctor's riding along, isn't it? Goes up into the sky, comes back down, and you're in animation. And I mean, it's not even just an animated product. Like one of the new additions was the spaceship launch, wasn't it? Like they did and a couple of other ones, like new model shots that were done specifically for this. So yeah, just a gorgeous production overall. But just the animation itself, brilliant or pretty great?
I'd say pretty great. Or would you go brilliant?
I'm up to you. I'm torn.
Because I feel like the movement's still a bit stilted with like the corridors.
Yeah, I am just wondering how much of it is the overall production, just, you know, because it's got the music as well to it. It's very much a more modern production, but still fits the right style. I think I'm going to go pretty great, sort of giving it whatever the opposite of the benefit of the doubt is, I suppose.
Yeah.
And sort of assuming that a lot of my love to this comes from everything else other than the animation, but the animation's still very good too, just not quite on. Yeah, I don't think it's quite on the 10th planet level. So yeah, pretty great seems fair for that. And also, while we're here, we'll just shove 2020, because we've included both of these, but I'm not sure how much of an actual difference there is, other than, you know, obviously it's edited into a 6-parter, but the animation product itself, I don't think is any different.
I wouldn't say there's any like noticeable errors in Sharda than there were in like Power of the Daleks. I guess they probably finally tweaked a few things, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Like you say, they probably just made it episodic and was like, there we go, that'll do.
Yeah, it's nothing enough to bump it up, but I do prefer the 2021 one.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to watch a version, I would watch that, but that's more, again, due to presentation rather than the animation, because it may have been improved. I really do not know. But if it has been, it's not been improved enough to be noticeable.
Yeah, it's not like new character designs at all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like the difference between Power 2016 and Power 2020, but we'll get to that. Because first we have the Macra Terror, which is almost again like a new start for the animations, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's going for the full breaking the traditional 60s feel. Like if you want your rough and tumble and something authentic to 62, you watch your reconstruction. This is very much bells and whistles. This is what the story, the idea of what Ian Stewart Black probably had the story to look like.
Yeah. This is probably what you imagine more when you listen to the
Soundtrack.
soundtrack rather than what would have been presented on screen. Because, I mean, the
Yes.
Macra are massive in this, aren't they? They're sort of closer to their
They're an actual crab.
2007 counterparts.
Yeah, they're not a lump.
I mean, the scene where one menaces Polly, it's actually picking her up and dangling
Yeah,
her
down
around.
there.
It's not just awkwardly grabbing her leg. So, yeah, I mean, I think that would have been hard to do in animation because we do have that as survivor footage, and it does look a bit ropey there. So
Mhm.
animating that authentically, I don't know how you could have resuited it. It
I
does
think it
feel a
would
bit,
have looked naff.
yeah. It does feel maybe a bit too over the top, but oh, I know what it would have looked
I
like. It
like
would have
it.
looked like you know the scene in Abominable when the Doctor and Jamie are struggling with the sphere as it goes in, and,
Yes,
like the Doctor's hand in
yes.
the way. It would look a bit like that with the tugging of it, except instead it would be Polly's leg.
Yeah.
That would be sort of more akin. Uh, but yeah, I mean, this one, a lot of people really love this one, don't they?
Yeah, for many people, it's their favourite.
Yeah.
Um, hmm.
Would you say it's impossible to distinguish from the original, or would you put it in brilliant? I mean, obviously, it is more distinguishable from the original than Invasion
Yes.
of Moonbase, but don't take these names too literally.
Yeah.
I'd say. Like,
I. Well,
I was just saying about the tier names; they're just there for fun
yeah,
more
yeah.
than anything. It is, not necessarily a reflection because this isn't trying to be indistinguishable from the original.
I think that this shows the best of what this batch can offer, what the
I'll
animations can
disagree there,
be.
but we'll see.
Okay. I think I like that it's gone for that more sort of 90s cartoon feel, like the way the colony looks, the artistic
Yeah.
feel to it. I really like, and it's one of those stories where it has to be the color version because it's
Mm.
designed for it. But I think I just prefer it, and I think I probably put it in Oh Brilliant personally.
I think it's nice how it has some 70s color to it at times, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Like it
Yeah,
sort of does have that colony
costuming.
and space style look at points with the colors. Lighting is done very well. I think this is the first time that, well, that color style of lighting is done, I suppose.
Yeah,
But also it's one of the earlier color ones, so that makes sense. But yeah, like the way it's all done, it's very smoothly done. Sometimes it feels almost too smooth. It's like when your TV's got motion smoothing on.
yeah.
It does look a bit awkward like that at times, but yeah, I'd more lean towards brilliant for this one.
Yeah, I was
But
thinking. Yeah,
yeah, I think that's a good place to stick
yeah, I was
it.
thinking that.
But yeah, so it's nice how with this because it's very much an animated product as a whole, isn't it? They've added that scene at the start from the end of the moon base for like the
Mhm.
context for people who haven't watched it.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Um,
anything with like the TARDIS floating in space, I'm there. I just think
mm,
that was quite a gorgeous way of opening it.
yeah, and the music choice as well worked nicely. And then it's great how it is black and white even in the color version, and then you sort of cut to color in the title sequence, don't you? I
Yeah.
suppose it's a bit similar to the Two Doctors, how that
Yes.
works.
Yes.
It's a nice nod to what came before, but then it's saying this is a regenerated version of the story. This is something different. I mean, I suppose it probably messes with people's heads continuity wise though, because you've got they should be in their moon base outfit, shouldn't they? Still,
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, even the invasion is technically guilty of that because Zoe should be in her mind robber costume, the catsuit look early on in part 1. But
we can forgive it. It's
we
fine.
forgive it because
It's great.
It's like the budgetary constraints there, and also if you're not paying enough attention to like the overall continuity, if you're not hyper fixated on that, it doesn't bother you. And I mean, it's not like it's an exclusive issue to animations. Continuity problems like that exist in the show itself. Like in, I think it's season 25, Ace has got
Different badges.
Flower Child. Yeah, she's got like Flower Child's earring or something, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Before she even meets her in Greatest Show. So yeah, it's not like this is a issue exclusive to there. But yeah, it's just little presentation things. I mean, a Starbucks coffee cup turned up in Game of Thrones. So
they've painted it out now, so it's fine.
I mean, remember Gene's guy in The Mandalorian?
Yes, yeah.
Like, things like this just happen. It's just the nature of it because it is ultimately a TV production. Things are going to slip through the cracks, and it's just you just suspend your disbelief a little bit for it. I mean, Faceless Ones, it's got an awkward moment where the nurse is meant to be talking to the doctor on the plane, but she's just sat there still. She's frozen because of an animation era. So yeah. Wheel in Space now, this little funny curiosity piece, I suppose. It's like half an episode animated, isn't it?
Funded by the BFI.
I suppose it's because it's using the animation models from Macroterror, isn't it?
Yes.
Because there's a reason it's just the Doctor and Jamie wandering around. This was probably chosen as it was the early story. They really could do that with the animation models available to them. I mean, I do wonder if this is maybe the reason why they didn't go back and do the Wheel in Space again, at least, while doing these ones, because they already had a bit of it done. Because you think Last Cyberman story, surely that's a go-to one to animate after you got the Daleks out of the way.
For me, I think if the animations were to have a renaissance, I think that probably seems like the most likely candidate.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. And that's also completes season 5 as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd say it's pretty much the same as Macroterror, really.
Yeah, there's nothing too glaringly out of place with it. The servo robot's done great. It's just a nice, fun 12 minutes, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's just a nice little bonus to have on that DVD. I suppose overall, it probably was done like as part of the Macroterror production block, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably. Because these are all done by Sun and Moon, isn't it? This and Faceless Ones.
And Evil. Yeah. I mean, let's get to Faceless Ones now, because I feel like I'm of the controversial opinion that I prefer Faceless Ones to Macroterror. Like animation-wise, as well as story-wise.
I would say Faceless Ones is a downgrade, really.
Ah, why is that?
Because I think for me, it's kind. I think the story kind of stilts it in a way, but it doesn't have a chance to have any flourishes and stuff. Really, like the chameleons. I don't really like that they've kind of gone against the traditional design.
I think it doesn't look too bad, especially when you're in black and white. It like hides how different the design is, because then it's only really the way the eyes blink.
For me, it's same level as Macro, but I think it's just a little bit lower for me because I just don't think it has that many embellishments, and I don't think it's that exciting of a story.
Yeah, are we gonna stick with Brilliant then for that?
Yeah, we'll stick with Brilliant.
Yeah.
Unless is it one of your favourites? Because you seem quite.
It's one of my favourites, but I wouldn't quite say it's indistinguishable from the original. I probably prefer it to all three of the. I don't know, maybe not even 10th Planet actually. But yeah, so I do quite enjoy this one. It's a good watch for me. And again, it's one of those. It sort of takes me back to the days of the moon base and the invasion when I watch it with the original episodes, because it does feel pretty seamless going from like episode 1 existing, then 2 animated, 3 existing, then 4, 5, and 6 animated. It all does feel like one solid entity. It doesn't feel too disconnected. And also I can enjoy watching it in color as well.
I think for me, I just think that it's a forgotten animation because of like the time it came out.
I say it was a busy year, wasn't it?
Yeah, very
Power
much.
Fury came along afterwards. But I'd say it's my favorite of that year.
I don't. Maybe I don't know.
What's your opinion on Power 2020 then? I mean, you've already voiced your objections to the lack of the checkers and the lack of the dance.
Yeah, I cancel it. Worst release.
I think
Bring
they cut
back
quite a few moments of dead air as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it works better in some area. Like there's still errors within it. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember something, but yeah. Oh, for it. Yeah, I'll probably.
It took you a while to get around to this one, I think, didn't it?
Yeah, I watched it this year after getting the. Yeah, because I got the DVD late because I was in no rush to pick it up because I was like, I've got the animation, I got the steelbook, I'm in no rush to watch Power.
Plus, busy year with Fury and Faceless ones. You know,
Yeah,
got to save the money for other things.
I think it probably goes with the Ice Warriors, to be honest.
I won't fight you on that one.
Where would you put it?
I'd maybe say pretty great, but
I still think it's got some rough moments, like how it just interchange with character models.
You sure you don't want to put Power down here? The original.
I feel like there's some more releases what could go there, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I mean,
I feel like it's more of an improvement than 1.
Okay, all right.
But at the same time, I'm not sure if I'd put it on the same level as these 3.
All right, let's put the 2016 one in the bottom pile, burn it, because we don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So we have the 2020 version. So
yeah, that's true. There we go.
It's redundant.
Yeah. Like, it's
I'm
definitely
sure when
never getting watched again, is it?
Yeah, because this is the thing. Like when the collection set comes out, that release is probably not even going to be included.
Yeah.
Why would it?
Especially when you've got so many other things to include, because it's a 60 season. It's a long one. You know, you don't need to take up even more space with something that's a worse version of what else is on there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, burn it. We don't need it anymore. We've got a good enough version. It's a strong improvement on it, but it's still only serviceable compared to what's above it. So, and now we come to Fury from the Deep.
This is the most disappointing animation.
Yeah. Okay. Like I was saying earlier, I do wonder how much of it comes down to how good the story is. But at the same time, it's very disappointing animation. It's so stilted.
I think Fury from the Deep is this nice claustrophobic story. It works great on audio. I listened to the soundtrack, so I was like, this is great to finally have it animated. The sets are so big, it loses that claustrophobic element. The character designs are off. Like, why have they got Mr. Tickle Arms?
Yeah.
And the placement of the characters, like they're all stood in a line, it just feels very flat.
And like when you look at those original sets as well, they were wonderfully 60s, and also they had levels to them. Like the impeller shaft, they'd have like 2 levels to the set, and so you'd have characters talking from above and below. Whereas here, it's just all flat. It's again very detailed backgrounds, but rather cartoony characters, so they stand out against it more. They never feel like they're part of their environment, do they?
Yeah.
And a lot of the running and walking around feels awkward. It hurts so much because there's a good story there. And
it's
the
a great story.
It loses so much because of it. I mean, funnily enough, it's almost like the opposite of, say, you have those stories where you hate them when you're not watching, and then you actually give it a go, and you're like, that's actually not bad. Maybe I was unfair on it. With me, I'm almost the opposite of the Fury animation, because there are times where I'm sitting there and I think back and I think, maybe I'm too harsh on it. And then I actually watch it and I'm like, no, this
is bad.
this deserves the hate I give it.
Yeah, it's
So,
rough.
burn it all over again.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I feel like this has harmed my view of Fury from the Deep.
Yeah, okay, there we go. It's a personal attack.
Yeah. I feel like the general opinion on Fury from the Deep as a story would be better if this animation didn't exist.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I think its recovery is it's maybe similar to how people felt when Tomb of the Cybermen came back, and that didn't quite live up to how it was imagined. Well, people even had the soundtrack then, though.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I suppose. An early cassette of it. But at least then that's what it was. Whereas this is a new one, and you can see how much better it could have easily been. Like, even watching it in black and white makes it slightly better, adds a bit more atmosphere, but still the claustrophobia is not there.
It's interesting to see how much these animation releases sort of stay in the fan circles. Like, some are just, once it's out, great. Others sort of stick and have more of a talking point. Fury from the Deep's one of those ones what just kind of happened and it just faded.
I feel like it still sticks sometimes, though, because it'll come up in conversations where people will use that image of all the characters in a line.
Yeah.
Just to point out how bad it is.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell how much of it was they were rushed. And I think certainly with all these, there's a rush for it. Like, this is a BBC budget. It's not anything.
Like the scaling of the TARDIS, that they had to redo that because the company making it got it completely wrong.
The fact that it just like floats down as a solid object rather than spinning in 3D. It's so that's like the first shot of the story as well.
It sets the mood, doesn't it? Like, oh, it's gonna be a rough one.
And yeah, it never quite recovers from that awkward first impression.
Because first impressions count, guys.
Yeah, and it's also your final impression of it as well, because it's just the same shot in reverse. I think even more so because we have that as an existing clip thanks to the war games. We know what it's meant to look like.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could have got away with just the TARDIS materializing on the water, maybe. But yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Web of Fear. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, because
this
you
is when
want to burn it all over again, don't you?
I will happily say I would rather watch the telly snap reconstruction on it, to be honest.
I need to give the new telesnap a go, because that's like got animated Yeti, hasn't it?
Yes. And the animated Yeti are better than what's in that.
I will not defend the Yeti in this animation. They are horrible. They stand out so much. It's like so awkward and lumpy, the red eyes. I mean, so everything in this animation is improved by watching it in black and white, but the Yeti, they're still not that improved. They still look really awkward. No. Thankfully, they're not in it that much. Thankfully, this isn't episode 4 or something like that, where it's really essential. But yeah, the Yetis, I will not defend. They are rough in this. But I think it helps that this one, for me, comes off the back of Fury, where it was so stilted. Because this style allows for so much more light to be brought in. It allows for so much better camera angles. Like, the camera can actually move about now. We can actually see characters from different angles. It can be staged like it was. It flows quite well with the rest of it because the direction matches. For me, I like the sets are they're the right amount of detail where the characters don't stand out against them. I think this one does get an unfair rap. I'd say it's serviceable. And I think the style had potential, but we probably won't see it again because it got shat on.
Honestly, rightfully so.
The Yeti deserve to be shat on. They look like they've been shat on already.
Yeah.
But I don't
like,
mind it.
because like arms will just crash into like through bodies, and
Very rarely.
it happens about 3 or 4 times.
Only if
And
you're
then
looking out for it.
and they just, what happened to the Brigadier's eyes? He's like a little vole. He's got tiny eyes. It's like really crappy Roblox characters. And I think it goes back to Reign of Terror in the way that they're trying to prove that this is animation and going, if we stand still, they'll know that it's fake. I think it's got too much movement going on. So I know that they went for like the motion capture.
Yeah. And I think that allows them to have much more character in them, because a lot of the time in the other recent animations, Troughton, he's very expressive when you
He's
watch him on
physical.
screen. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that, you can just tell how he's meant to be acting just by listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just very stilted in those other ones. Here, at least you get that. You have that nice moment where the Brigadier's waving his swagger stick around and such. There's physical bits like that I think are lost in the other animations that are here. I think more so, it's just that there was potential in this style that could have been improved upon. And certainly black and white, I can stand it. It's just one episode.
I don't know if I could see like 7 episodes of Marco Polo being done in this style. I would cry.
I don't think it's. I think it depends on the story, because I think something like The Wheel in Space, it could probably suit, because that's quite like bland sets, bland white corridors. I think it would suit the Cybermen in this look, because they don't have the texture of the fur like the Yeti do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I take it over the Fury style.
See, I'd burn it, just for the record.
Yeah. Should we subpar it?
We're subpar. I feel dirty. Yeah, it's your only way of. Oh, yeah, go on.
I was saying, I feel like I'm more positive about this just because everyone else is so negative.
I mean, somebody's got to love
serviceable.
it. And if you love it, then that's fine.
I'm not sticking it up here. It's still.
You might as well bloody well be
down here for me. That's still bottom half of the tier list.
It's shite.
I just like that it can be the blocking of it.
It ruined Web of Fear for me.
So much. Oh dear.
It was a Fury thing for me.
Oh. But you've still got watched the other 5 episodes. They exist.
Oh, I'm never going to watch it again.
I will say one funny thing about a choice in this animation.
It is a big joke.
The way it is in the original anyway. But there's a moment where what's her name? Travis's daughter, Anne. Salutes Captain whatever his Knight. Yeah, she says like Captain, salutes, and then walks out. And then Victoria asks any news about Jamie. Like, do you know the moment I'm on about?
Yeah.
And for me, when I watched the recon of it, when she said Captain, I saw her more just sort of pointing out Victoria, as if Victoria's, a bit too timid to say anything to him about it. And so it's like her giving a nod to the Captain to say, "Oi, Victoria wants the words." That's how I took that to be. But then actually watching it, she's doing the salute instead. So do you ever have moments like that in other animations where it's like it's not how you imagined it being, or maybe even having the episode back?
I think Food from the Deep, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think Enemy of the World, I think, was a big change.
Yeah,
how you imagine it, especially like how they did the beach in part 1. It's not how I pictured it.
That's very well done.
Very well done, yeah.
I suppose it's because it's so unusual for Classic Who to be that well directed.
Yeah, good old Barry Letts.
Yeah, he really brings a style to it.
I guess speaking
Also,
of style, well, go on.
another thing I won't really defend is, again, likeness of women. Victoria and Anne in particular, those cheekbones, whatever's going on there. That's a bit awkward.
Yeah. The character designs are rough in it.
Some of the soldiers don't look that bad at all.
It's because they're grunts. I don't like Charlton's coat. It's too long.
Yeah, that's true. That does look a bit, especially the way it doesn't really bend.
Yeah, it's just a cone.
But like Weems and Corporal, oh no, Staff Sergeant Arnold. Sorry.
Yeah,
like a lot of those grunts. I think Knight as well. He looks pretty well done. Yeah. Anyway, evil now. We can move on.
Okay.
3.
For many people, this is their favorite as well, and I think maybe that's hype of story as well.
I feel more like it's in the pretty great.
Yeah, I think that it's great. Like the Daleks are the best they've ever been.
Yeah, there's definitely an improvement there over Power.
I think the light. It's one what I've only seen the color version of this.
No, I've only seen the black and white, so we're coming at it from 2
Yeah.
different angles there.
I think the character designs as well are a bit iffy.
Certainly in color, it looks too colorful.
Yeah.
It seems like it's losing a bit of the character of it. Like Maxtable looks very over the top. Which I suppose he always was with that beard, but...
And I think, what was it, like the Dalek servant who runs off with one of the maids, is it? I don't know. Can't remember. It's been a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
He looks a bit gammony.
The eyes look too small on everyone.
That's Web of Fear.
But I feel like maybe they're a realistic size, but just
Maybe.
because of the animation style, they look too small. Evil. A bit too beady. I don't trust them.
I like the way the Daleks are directed in it, like the way they come through the cabinet, all that's lovely stuff, and like especially on the balcony when you've got sort of Jamie and Kemble. I think they're done very well.
Yeah. Is it or is it Kimmel?
Kimmel, yeah, Kimmel.
Jimmy
Kimball's
Kimmel.
a planet. Yeah, I'm getting into them.
Yeah. Oh, poor Kemmel. Oh no, it's Kemmel, isn't it?
Not Kemmel.
Kemmel.
God, that's nearly a year old now. That animation, isn't it?
I mean, it's about.
Yeah, we were just getting hyped up for it.
I think. Or was it mid?
I'll have a look because I've got it on my camera roll when it arrived in the post. Because that's what us Dog Tea fans would go, hey, look what's arrived, guys.
Yeah. That's like what people's timelines are filled with on that first day, isn't it?
Literally. And it's especially when like a collection box set drops, it's like obligatory post, it's here.
Yeah.
It's real.
Look at what the artwork looks like inside.
Isn't it pretty?
I was doing the same with the vinyls when they turned up. It was like it became a tradition to take a picture of them.
27th of November.
Oh, November.
So it's quite late. No, September. Sorry, 27th September.
But I suppose you had Web of Fear. Like that was
August,
mid-August, wasn't it? So it wasn't like a big gap. Whereas with Abominable, it's from November to then.
Yeah. There we go.
I suppose, should we talk about Galaxy 4 then? Because this is back to the Fury Big Finish creative style, isn't it? I suppose this is kind of the Big Finish fans in a way. We'll talk about some
true.
Big Finish creative fans. Although we're slacking off most of their releases.
Yeah.
Rewatching this one in black and white wasn't as bad.
I think that this one's cheap and cheerful, like the story.
Okay.
I think it's definitely done on a cheap because you've got the Dravins, which are a clone species, aren't they? So you just have the same main rather than just multiplied in different
Yeah,
costumes.
it's like they're bred in laboratories, aren't they? So
Yeah, and I think that again, it's using much like Abominable Snowman, where you have the Tibetan monks actually being Tibetan monks. It's more like this is what the story should have looked like.
it's going for that Star Trek style of colourful 60s other worlds, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
I
I think
think
what
it adds the vastness to the planet.
what it doesn't understand about those Star Trek episodes though is that a lot of the colour comes from the lighting.
Mhm.
Galaxy 4 has no lighting. It is flat in terms of that.
I despise the Hartnell character model.
It's the long arms again, isn't it? But
It's the
also
long arms. Why has he got like an extra bit on his cravat? Why has he got a bow tie over his cravat?
he's so cartoony in the face
You
as
get it
well.
so right on the actual cover, but don't like it.
I'll say Reign of Terror Hartnell looks more like Hartnell than Galaxy
Yeah,
4 Hartnell.
Buggy Hartnell.
Yeah. 10th Planet is definitely where Hartnell's at his best.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? It's only our third and possibly final Hartnell animation.
See,
We got
it's
so many
exciting.
thousands.
It's exciting because like, it's Hartnell. This is great, and the more you realize why we got a Galaxy 4, you're like, yeah, I can see why it was done because it is definitely a cheap and cheerful one, isn't it?
Definitely. The real ship looks very bad.
Yeah. What you
Improved
get in
in black and white, but yeah.
the spaceship flying's a bit dodgy. Like normally the 3D elements are great. That wasn't great.
It's like the same as the TARDIS coming down, isn't it? It's that same
Mhm.
awkward 2D look to it, where it's just you got your magnets behind a bit of paper and you're moving your things there.
But that probably works better.
Yeah, it might do. I mean, the Chumbleys work quite well.
Yeah, the final bit when the planet's collapsing.
Yeah. Again, you've got the Recon, haven't you?
Yeah.
Where that's got the CGI Chumblies and they probably look a bit better than the Chumblies here. It is
Yeah,
odd
I'd
that they
agree.
didn't go for CGI modeling like they do with the Daleks.
Yeah.
But again, it's like it's definitely an improvement for Fury, but how much of that is just because I'm less offended because it's Galaxy 4?
Let's be honest, you're never really going to watch Galaxy 4 ever again.
I mean, I've watched it twice now, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's not
Well,
a story
3
what
times
you.
even, 'cause I watched the Aztecs.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's not a story you're naturally going to go to. If you want to watch a Hartnell, Galaxy 4 is not going to be in that go-to pile.
No. I mean, part of the reason was because, a sort of limited for Hartnell choice with season 2 coming out. I don't want to watch any of those at the moment because I'll be rewatching them again in a couple of months anyway. So this is like my way of getting Hartnell in. And also just because I knew we were doing this animation tier list, so I thought I might as well give it another go. Subpar or serviceable?
Okay, serviceable.
Yeah. It does similar to Fury. It's like massive spaces, isn't it? For no reason.
Yeah.
Especially on the Reels ship where you have like these tiny little panels all around, but it's this massive place, and otherwise it's just dead space. It's just it's even more bizarre here almost because at least Fury from Deep sort of fills it with stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's Abominable Snowman time now. We're at the end.
For now, hopefully, there is more.
Yeah, hopefully there is more. But for this video, for this stream, for this tier list, we're nearing the end. What did you make of this? Because we've not talked about this really.
No, we've not.
We've discussed our initial reactions to trailers and such.
Yeah, I think that this animation's probably better watching as a story than the clips.
I agree. I think especially black and white.
Yeah, I've only watched the black and white
Me too.
because HMV were a pain dispatching it and Royal Mail on strike.
Yeah. Color clips weren't doing much for me, so I thought I'll go for the black and white. I'll go with the original episode. And yeah, so a lot of those awkward stuff in the clips, like the way the balls really stand out.
I beg your pardon.
They blend in so much more in black and white. I think the Yeti look great here.
Yeah, I think they work very. I will say I don't think it captures the lumbering nature. I feel like they're a bit jumpy in parts.
Yeah, like there's the moment it hops off the table in episode. Is it episode 4 it comes alive, or is it end of episode 3?
End of episode 3.
And then start of episode 4. The way it hops off there, it's doing it a bit lively, isn't it?
Yeah, for what it is.
Yeah. But I mean, like we said earlier, Yeti don't actually do much in the story. They're not in it too much. But yeah, for the moments they are, it works all right.
Oh, go on.
There are still awkward moments to it. Like, certainly, again, there are times where you can like, there's that clip that they released where I think it's called like Yeti Attack or something. It's like where they encounter the Yeti on the mountain, and the Doctor and Jamie like swap around their stuff. Like, you can see that like in your mind's eye, hearing what they're discussing. Like when Jamie and the Doctor confront something, and they're like, "I thought you had it. You give it to me. Swap it." Similar to Anne and the Doctor in episode 5 of the Web of Fear. You could just imagine them frozen there, looking at it, fumbling around to swap their stuff around. You could see Troughton's hands in your mind's eye, but in the animation, it's so stilted the way they swap it around.
Yeah, because you feel like there'll be moments in this animation where you'll have like Troughton sort of pondering. You don't really get that in the animation of Troughton within this. And I think Troughton, in the nicest possible way, he's too thin.
Yeah, like that coat, it really does make him look a bit like a Yeti in the like adds a lot. Whereas it's very skin tight in the animation.
It's like a dressing gown on him.
Yeah. I think it's the style in general, isn't it? Again, it's the long arms. They're not as bad as Fury from the Deep. But I suppose maybe on Travers, but he's quite tall anyway.
Yeah, he's quite lanky. But I think my biggest problem with this story is Padmasambhava.
When I saw pictures of him out on Twitter, I was like, what have they done to him? But actually watching the animation, in black and white at least, I don't think he looks too bad.
I think they're going for the more ethereal look, aren't they?
Yeah. And to be fair, it's also decided he's 300 years old. He is probably going to be a bit more malnourished and such. Whereas the look from what we've seen of the original Through Surviving stuff, he looks a bit chubby.
But I think that works. I think because the way, I think, again, this is sort of fan mythos of like the way it's been talked about, but he had like one of the most gruesome deaths on screen and they had to cut it because they were like, that's too much for the kids.
Yeah.
You kind of like, well, like, that's quite scary because it's like one of those things where fans are like, this is terrifying, terrified me as a kid. Would have been nice to actually have had that in animation.
I don't think it was too bad in animation though.
No, I mean, and then you have the Scooby-Doo Yeti at the end.
Oh god, that
very Scooby-Doo.
Like, it was just meant to be the Yeti prop, wasn't it? It was the same one. Just
it was a white Yeti.
Yeah. Oh, did they spray paint one of the original Yetis white?
Yeah, it was white.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why have they gone to the trouble of making a new Yeti.
This is where we bring up the argument of going, how traditional do you like? What traditional elements do you keep, and what elements do you embellish?
That was an element that I probably wouldn't have wanted embellished. The Yeti at the end, it stands out like a sore thumb. But I don't mind a lot of the other stuff because it feels like just a minor tweaks of this story. It doesn't feel like Fury does, where that's very much these awkward big changes. This feels much more closer to the original spirit, just expanded a bit
I think this
from the
keeps the
limitation.
atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose because it's that open bleakness, isn't it?
Yes.
That's still kept.
And
And I
I
think a
like
lot of the corridors in the monastery are still quite small.
how this story has a sense of night and day within the animation.
Yeah, it does.
Um,
I mean, one of
yeah.
the interesting things when you're watching it with the existing part 2 is that the cell where they lock Troughton up in is sort of up on the ramparts, isn't it? In the animation, and so the cell door's like out to the elements, whereas in the original version, it's in a standard corridor.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're watching it continuity wise, there it's thrown off a bit, but at the same time, it makes sense because there's that line from Travis about, you're several feet up or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he's looking out that window, whereas the original set makes it look like more of a dungeon.
Yeah.
So I can see why they made that change. And yet again, it's just like it's little changes that I think help it be its own product, but don't go too far with it and still feel respectful to the original.
Yeah.
I'd honestly go so far as calling this one pretty great. I was surprised by how much I
Yeah.
liked.
I think maybe because I've watched it in black and white and it hides a multitude of sins.
Yeah, I think it being 4x3 as well just helps that authenticity of it.
Yeah.
And also, you don't have that awkward shot of everyone in a line like Fury from the
Yes.
Deep. Like even in the trailer, you see they're much more not huddled together as such, but more realistically placed, like that scene where Troughton's addressing the monks and Travis. I mean, I think that's a pretty fair ranking looking at all of that.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a bit more argumentative. Go, no, that belongs there.
Yeah, it was only really the Web of Fear we had a heated discussion about.
I still can't believe you like that. But hey, somebody's got to love it out there.
Yeah, there we go. I haven't been able to check out the chat in a while because I've been locked in this. I've been stuck in this infernal contraption,
Wow,
locked
there
in the
you go.
share screen mode. So yeah, I'll leave it there for a little. Yeah,
let's have a little look on the chat then.
Yeah, I'll leave it here a little bit longer so everyone can check it out if they're just joining. See where we've ranked things.
Hello, stylish person.
And so stylish person is sees the Web of Fear as a hot take.
Well, it's I guess it's revenge for Evil of the Daleks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's probably placed lower than a lot of other people would put it. I'm kind of surprised it was only Invasion of the Moonbase in the very top tier.
We like Cybermen animated stories.
Yeah, like I mean, I definitely thought those two would be top tier.
Yeah.
I mean, not even thought I knew they would be. There was no doubt. We've discussed this before.
Yeah,
but I thought something else would end up joining them. I don't know quite what. Maybe Macro or something.
I thought Macro would have been in top.
Yeah. But I think it is only brilliant. It isn't quite the top tier for me. But I'm not sure what would have been. But I just expected by the end of this to come out of it with more than just those two in the top.
Yeah, I feel like because you're going off sort of what everyone else says, like Evil and Macra, I feel like they're sort of like the big key ones where people are like, those are the best.
It's interesting how with the Sun and Moon style, you do have an uninterrupted run from Macra to Evil of the Daleks.
Which I guess helps if you're marathoning, but
yeah, I mean, it's even the release order as well.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, oh yeah. Unless you count Wheel in Space.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, was that BFI event first? So is that technically before Macro Terror?
Good point.
So it still works, maybe.
Oh, there you go. There's always a way. There's always a way.
Yeah. I mean, you got an uninterrupted run from the moon base to Fury from the Deep. You could do that whole lot without touching a recon.
I mean, that's the joy of these animations, that we can actually have more Troughton on our shelves and go, wow, we've pretty
Yeah.
much got all of his era now.
It's made up for his lack of other material because he hasn't had a collection set yet. He's like soon he's going to be the only Doctor without a collection set. Like he's just turned up in 2 of them thanks to 3 Doctors and 2 Doctors. Probably get 5 Doctors before we get any other Troughton season.
I think
Big Finish wise, he's not had that much recently. So this has sort of kept Troughton going, really, hasn't it?
I think season 6 is going to be the first Troughton set because I can't see season 4 and 5 being done because of the animations being too new.
Yeah,
And I can't see people double dipping just yet.
Mm.
I mean, some people triple dip anyway and get the Blu-ray, DVD, and Steelbook, which I think's mental. Why?
Yeah, I just go for the Blu-ray, to be honest.
I'm Steelbook because I'm down that rabbit
hole. Yeah, I think once you've got one, you're sort of stuck, aren't you?
Yeah,
you've got to get the rest of them like that.
Like, I know it's, you know, those people are probably going to say support the animations, great, but you know, you don't need 3 versions.
I mean, you got a little bonus in the Macroterra.
Yeah, and the Sharda one as well. It made sense to get the Sharda one because you get the McGann Sharda webcast.
Ah, yeah.
So,
do you get that on season 17 Blu-ray?
No.
Ah.
So the Steelbook still has its use.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah, it's the only place to really get a webcast now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. And unless they do like a Wilderness year collection.
Yeah, because I suppose they've got to stick Scream to Shulker somewhere at some point.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what a Wilderness set would look like.
Yeah. I suppose maybe it would just be like a miscellaneous, the collection miscellaneous, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, with TV, movie, and everything else stuck there. Yeah, certainly. It's interesting thinking this is it for animation for a while, probably, unless they have got something up their sleeve. But
you think for the 60th they'll have something?
You'd hope so.
Unless it's like, hey, here's some recoveries of insert episode here. Which wishful thinking. But we know they're out there.
Yeah, in some private collector's hands or another. But yeah, Space Pirates, if we were getting season 6 as a collection, I think no one would really complain if we just got the telesnaps for that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even if the animations were still going, I don't think Space Pirates would have been touched for a while, if at all.
It'll be the last one.
Yeah. It's very much a forgotten Doctor Who story for a reason.
Yeah.
No one's complaining too much that one's lost.
Yeah.
Stylish One has quite a few hot takes here. Just scrolling through, having a look. Hot take: I loathe the invasion animation.
That one.
Invasion and emotion. It's stiff, awkward, has terrible character models, and actively makes the episode worse. It's easily my least favorite animation. Wow. So yeah, there we go. Like I say, with the animation, it is arguably even more subjective than some Doctor Who story opinions, I suppose.
That's a hot take and a half, that.
Hot take: Fury is the animation I dislike second most. Ah, there we go. We're on the same page here. It actively damaged the story's reputation. Yeah, stylish person as well. You don't like the invasion as much to begin with, so I suppose that makes you less upset about that one. Whereas Fury, like us, you have more of that disposition towards it because it's hurting your view of the story. But yeah, and the character models are too stylized. The background's too big, and it loses the appeal of Fury. Yes, definitely. Also, the invasion backgrounds are awful. Why are they all out of focus? That's camera focus. That's how it's making it look realistic.
It's artistic.
Here's another hot take. The Ice Warrior invasion is one of the best. Fluidity is key to my enjoyment, and it's so smooth and fluid. The character models are some of the best too.
What, Troughton with a beard? I mean, it's better than stoned pigeon Troughton from Power, but
Yeah. For me, there's almost a thing where if it becomes too fluid, like we were saying about the motion smoothing earlier, I feel like Ice Warriors sort of falls into that sometimes. Yeah. 10th Planet animation is fine, a bit awkward in places and too reminiscent of anime at times, fine, but does nothing amazing for me. It's weird, the anime inspired nature of it, isn't it? And odd that it works for a story that has nothing to do with Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's there somewhere as one of the nations getting invaded by the Cybermen, but
yeah.
there's nothing more Japanese about it than most other Doctor Who stories.
Yeah. I mean, Makataro could see it working quite well. The anime style.
Yeah, maybe. Hot take, Jamie is my favourite companion. Almost all his animation models are terrible. Moonbase is spot on. Ice Warriors is great, but the rest need no resemblance. Yeah, Fraser's one they seem to struggle with at times.
They don't capture Fraser well.
Yeah, sometimes you give him like a massive forehead, don't they? So.
Yeah.
I think there are times where like you get certain facial expressions that fit, like when he's in shock at something in Abominable, and then other times it just doesn't look like him at all. Hot take: The Web of Fear is my favorite classic Who story, and
I thought I was going to say animation, and I was scared.
Oh, well, I think me and Sly Tristan are on the same page here because he says not good, but nowhere near as bad as people made it out, and has potential. There we go.
No.
I'm not alone.
No. Hot take, Abominable animation looks pretty bad. I really dislike a lot of the character models, and they jar so badly with the backgrounds. I would disagree there.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad with the backgrounds. I think also the backgrounds feel quite authentic to the original.
Yeah, with like the Buddha, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is that from your color experience of it or black and white experience, stylish one? Because I think watching it in black and white does certainly help.
I think it's definitely one of those ones you should watch in black and white, actually.
Yeah.
I can't see myself going for the color.
No. I've been on holiday to Yorkshire and Wales, Ben and Luke, and stylish person.
Oh, I hope you had a good holiday.
Hopefully it hasn't rained too much for you.
Didn't see any Yeti in Wales.
No. Trying to think of anything that was shot up in Yorkshire, but
no, there probably is something.
Yorkshire, yeah. There's certainly a couple of big finishes set there, but
yeah,
I can't think of Doctor Who's explicitly shot there.
You can't exactly do like location videos on a big finish.
Hot take: Faceless Ones is one of the best animations, and if it wasn't for Jamie and Troughton's pretty bad character models, it would be top tier for me. Such an underrated animation. I agree. Is that an underrated one? Yes, I was. Person does agree that they all work much better in black and white. Yeah, I suppose it's just that added authenticity of it all, really, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I guess it's more of the traditional way of watching them, really, even though like the colours, that fun little curio, I'd say.
Yeah. I think it's in some ways as well, at worst, it's a necessary evil because to get the BBC America funding, they had to be done in colour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and you're still getting a black and white option there as well. So at the end of the day, if you really are against colour, just don't watch it and you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joy to get 60s Daleks in colour, though. I did enjoy having those in colour.
Yeah.
They are glorious.
No. What do you think could be the future of the animations, if there is one at all? Do you think we are going to get more someday somehow?
In the nicest possible way, I think Doctor Who's too profitable for them not to do it.
Yeah, I think we've been in this position before, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we've still got a couple of bigger hitters that can justify it. Like we say, Wheel in Space, perfect way to go back.
I don't think Dalek's Master Plan, unless Dalek's Master Plan, I can't see Dalek's Master Plan being done as a 12-parter.
Yeah, maybe do it similar to how the book did it. Do like 6 episodes and then do another 6 episodes.
I can, yeah, like maybe you get part 1 one year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that'd be a nice way of doing it, to be honest.
Because I mean, DC animation recently with their adaptation of The Long Halloween, they did that as it's like Batman story did that as part 1 and part 2. At least. And I think they did that back in the day with, is it The Dark Knight Returns?
I have no idea.
So yeah, when it like comes to direct to consumer adaptation, not adaptation, sorry, animation, it's not unheard of to split them up. And I think when you're getting 6 parts anyway, you're not gonna feel too shortchanged.
And it is the story people want on their shelves.
Yeah. I think there is sort of like a handy divide there, isn't there, down the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's sort of like after episode 7 and going into episode 8, that's where all the big finishes with Sarah Kingdom are set.
Mm.
So,
And a lot of people are sort of saying, well, why don't we do like GoFundMe's? And that's not in the BBC's interest because they're privately funded, aren't they? Really, I think there's something where they don't endorse extra revenue or something. There's some weird legality there.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Nadine Dorris wants to get rid of the license fee. She's a secret Doctor Who fan, and she wants the animations to thrive. She wants her Dalek's master plan, and so she tried to do that so that the BBC could get fan crowdfunding.
Somehow I doubt it.
I highly doubt it.
But again, BritBox, that seems to be one floating around, you know.
Yeah.
Which
I think we floated around the idea of Disney Plus, didn't we?
Yeah.
If they got streaming rights, could they be interested in filling out a back catalogue?
I think it's definitely like the Disney stuff with what they've done with the Star Wars universe. With like Clone Wars, could you imagine sort of that style animation for Doctor Who?
Yeah, something like that would be amazing. I don't think we'll get that, sadly. This is like very much
wishful thinking, pie in the sky, you know. But I'll take it.
Huge grain of salt, but like stranger things have happened.
And I think it's only going to get stranger as we go on. Like, who would have thought this time last year Russell T Davies would come back to the show? But David Tennant's coming back.
That's not that long away, is it? The year anniversary. Yeah. That was sometime.
Let's have a look, shall we?
Yeah, let's see. So I think it was around the middle, wasn't it? It was like around the 13th, 14th.
It was the 24th of September.
There it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are 2 weeks away from it. Well, less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
So there's certainly room there. Room for a bit of hope.
Yes. We can only hope, but we're all good.
I mean, something I suggested to you was perhaps they could branch out from missing episodes to lost stories. Perhaps do their own Nightmare Fair to tie in with the toy maker, all but officially confirmed to be returning. Yeah, could we get that with the 6th Doctor, Colin Baker?
Or would you do the Pertwee animations as a little sidestep, you know?
Yeah, maybe Pertwee or Tom Baker. Maybe that'd be more profitable. Because certainly, I feel like there's a thing with Hartnell and the 80s Doctors where they don't seem to sell quite as well compared to Troughton, Pertwee, and Baker.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe leaning more into that. Get Tim in there because I think he's earned his place at Big Finish. He can earn his place at Animations as well.
I mean, there's obviously Paradise of Death and Ghost of End Space.
The
So,
original.
you can easily market them.
Yeah. But yeah, certainly would prefer original stories to animation rather than adapting Radio or Big Finish.
Because then that
maybe give us a
opens
Joe Martin series animated.
Yeah, I think something like that would be cool. Because I think if you open the can of worms with Big Finish, well, people are like, well, why don't you do it all? And then that's the can of worms you've opened. Then because you're like, well, if you've done one, you've kind of got to do them all.
Well, you say that, but they've not done all the missing episode animations yet.
Well, that will happen. That will happen in our lifetime.
Fingers crossed. I feel like there's some that maybe won't be. Like, is there any point in doing the Crusades now? Like, especially with, because I mean, one of the things that's holding them back there is the amount of costumes, isn't it?
See, that's where the Web of Fear animation would. I reckon if the Web of Fear wasn't pied, we probably would have got a Crusade.
Maybe. I think especially because that style seems to more be built around the same as the earlier stuff, where it is just filling in the gap, because it's not the whole of Web of Fear that's animated, it's just the one episode. And so I feel like they should go back to Underwater Menace, maybe with that style, and give us, just episodes 1 and 4 animated, because surely you don't need BBC America funding to do that. Was Web of Fear even BBC America funded?
No, it wasn't part of the package.
Yeah, so there you go. And I mean, I don't think anything's officially been said as to, we're not doing any more animations now. It is just BBC America have officially pulled out. So it's a case of where do they go from here?
I mean, maybe if Abominable Snowman's like a real heavy hitter, and that might be like, well, maybe they are viable. But I don't know.
Maybe they are just seeing how this one goes down. But certainly it was interesting to think that at one time we had about 4 in the works simultaneously, because Abominable Snowmen and Evil were rumored around the same time, weren't they?
It's made you really take the animations for granted, in the sense that, oh, what's the next one? Like, before, you'd kind of savor that, going, wow, we can put this on the shelf.
Yeah, especially last year, where it was free in such a short space of time. Like, we had so much announcements before previous ones had even come out yet. Started person asks, what one Big Finish story for each Doctor would you want animated if you were forced to have one per Doctor on Big Finish? It's interesting, isn't it? Thinking about with Troughton and Hartnell, you couldn't really animate something that has narration.
No, you couldn't.
You could, but it'd be very. So you'd sort of have. I mean, for Troughton, I think that only leaves Beyond War Games, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think he's got anything else that's full cast at all.
No,
Hartnell's at least got Outlaws and the Bradley stuff.
I feel like the Bradley stuff, I'd want more live action.
Yeah, I'd want them to actually just go off and film that.
Yeah, like Return to Star would be great.
Would you prefer an animated Marco Polo or a remount of Marco Polo with David Bradley and the Adventure of Space and Time crew?
Depends what animation. If it was Cosgrove Hall or Planet 55 doing it, then I'd be like, yeah, those guys. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it depends on the animation team, to be honest. For me, to commit,
it would just be an interesting experiment having something like that, like a remount.
So I think they joked about doing it, like, let's go and do Marco Polo.
Yeah, let's lock the studio doors.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think they did do a couple of scenes, didn't they? That they
did. Yeah, it's like a little lecture on the DVD.
I think especially now that Bradley has had more experience of playing the First Doctor, whereas it was a bit stilted in An Adventure in Space and Time.
It was more William Hartnell than the Doctor.
Yeah, because he was playing William Hartnell. And so it's understandable. He doesn't need to be amazing in those scenes. Whereas now I think he's done Twice Upon a Time. And he's done
Big Finish.
5 box sets worth of Big Finish, at least as far as we know. Maybe he's recorded something else. Or actually even more than 5, because he has popped up in a couple of other ranges.
Yeah.
In little cameos. So yeah, I think it would be interesting to have him back now actually playing the role on screen again. And that's something you could... I mean, they did remount some Dad's Army episodes.
Yeah, it's true.
Gold did. So certainly this is something you could possibly do for like BBC 2 or BBC 4. Maybe.
Maybe that's the future for like the 60th. We get that. Some of that ilk, really.
But yeah, so which Hartnell would you go for then? For animating a Big Finish? Let's get back to...
Maybe the Outlaws.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting.
Because I think the miniaturist is too experimental. I feel like I don't think that story would benefit animation.
It does almost thrive more in its audioscape, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, maybe Return to Skaro.
See, I'd want that live action, personally.
Yeah, that's true. Troughton, I suppose, has got to be... what's it called? The Final Beginning by default.
See, I'd go Wrath of the Ice Warriors because I feel like Ender's Beginning or whatever it's called is that experimental one.
Yeah,
I feel like you can't touch it.
I feel like it would also be interesting seeing the Brigadier in animation, but voiced by John Coleshaw.
Yeah. Hopefully not Roblox version. But yeah.
And then you get to see the Ice Warrior Queen, Katie Manning.
Yeah.
The huge headdress.
Cool. Yeah, because I like the Doctor Who magazine thing they did for it. So yeah, I'd say that for me.
Pertwee? Which third Doctor Venture are we going for?
I would go Primord.
I was thinking Primord.
So I was thinking to have Liz and Joe in a story.
Yeah. Seeing that visually would be quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe Untitled Incursion.
That would be very good. Yeah, I'd go for one of those.
But yeah, I think if you're just joining us now and you're hearing us talking about animating Big Finish, no, we are generally, well, certainly I'm generally more against this and would prefer original.
Yeah.
Sure. We are just answering Snyder's person's question here.
Because like for me, it gets that awkward stage of, well, where does it go on the shelf? You know?
Oh,
that's where my awkward brain goes with it.
For me, it's more just because they are made to be audio plays. They're not made. Yeah. Like if they were, as we were saying earlier, about the possibility of lost stories being done as animation, I wouldn't want it to be the Big Finish version done. I'd want them to go back to the original script and then get the actors back in, remount it as a more, visual story, get them to re-record the lines, and then go from there. Yeah, and I mean, it's not unprecedented because Sharda, Big Finish, did that, and then BBC went and got, Tom Baker and Lala Ward back in to record the lines for Sharda. Although, obviously, it was originally McGann in the Big Finish, so it's a bit different there, but nevertheless, I think there's still a sort of precedent there for it.
Tom.
There's so many now because we're beyond the
I'd go maybe Throw from the Future.
Ah.
Because then it's like you can have like your what if Talons of Wailing Triangle actually on the shelf.
I'd go maybe Destroy the Infinite.
Ah, yeah, that
But
could work
that's a
with like
very
the Star
visual.
Wars fight. Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a
Especially
very good
Clone
pick.
Wars style animation.
Yes,
Not
yeah,
that we could get that on a budget, but
yeah, that'd be great. That's a good pick.
you can imagine like the dogfights and such.
Yeah.
And just the scale of the ship when it launches. Getting to see that vision. God. Possibilities. Fifth Doctor. What's it?
Obvious one is spare parts.
Yeah, that's true.
Um.
Especially if you're using 10th Planet animation style.
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it? That would work. That would really work for that story animation. Maybe Aquitaine would be quite nice. I can see that working quite well.
Yeah. Trying to think of other. Would be Psychodrome.
Yeah,
That
that would work.
Yeah. Because those very much feel like TV stories, don't they? They're very much part of the fabric of season 19 to me. Sixth Doctor. Masters of Earth.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that actually, because you can't really fault that one.
Yeah.
That's like a perfect one.
And Seventh Doctor, maybe We Are the Daleks.
Or Master, that'd be cool.
I mean, Eighth Doctor now. This is where it gets more exciting because it is very. This would be more of this Doctor's visual impact, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In fact, this is another one where it's like not even remounting it. This is literally rather than animating, just get Paul McGann, stick him in the costume, and he's good to go.
If a man hasn't aged, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Blood of the Daleks.
Yeah, Blood of the Daleks is sort of a perfect one, or maybe like push the boat and do like Dark Eyes. I don't know, but I feel like that's a bit bored ambitious, really.
Yeah.
But I think Blood of the Daleks is a nice, safe one to do.
Ninth Doctor, this should be easier because there aren't too many of them.
Monster in Metropolis, maybe?
Yeah, I could see that.
Because you've already got the animated asset of the Cyberman. So, you know, maybe
got a
that.
lot of good CGI models there. And 10th Doctor, okay.
I feel like 1 Mile Down feels like it could benefit being animated with like the setting.
Yeah, I think that could definitely benefit from it a bit. I think No Place could be interesting, like seeing it as found footage almost.
Yeah. Oh, anything for Volume 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think we could get a Dalek Universe.
I mean, while we're on this, Out of Time has been animated by
Josh Nares. Yeah.
Check that out. I suppose, can we talk? Should we go for the 11th Doctor as well, or should we leave this now?
I feel like you're kind of a bit stumped with those because you're limited because of the narration.
Yeah. So we'll just say Regeneration Impossible. That ticks off.
Yeah, covers both.
11 and 12 together.
Yeah,
there we go. We're done.
Sorted. Sweet. And then for Jodie Whittaker and Joe Martin.
Whatever her first one is.
Yeah, there we go. Sorted.
Sergeant Person asked aside from the Peterloo Massacre because non-Charlton pure historicals are very hit and miss for me. What audios would you recommend to someone who's not a fan of 5 almost at all?
Aquataine's another good one.
Yeah, I mean, Fifth Doctor box set's always a good place to start there. I mean, the recent 42.
Yeah, 42 is great. Spoiler for that stream.
We'll say why next week. Well, this.
Yeah.
Well, almost this week. It depends whether you think Sunday is the start of the week or end of the week or not. I feel like that's always the more generational thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like Monday for me is the start of the week.
Yeah, so I'd also argue that because biblically, Sunday was the last day God made, it should be the last day. Like, otherwise, the first week in all of time was a 6-day week, and it's been 7-day weeks since then.
Well, there we are.
Yeah.
But other day was some
Not that I'm Christian, but
well, there we are. I think that the Stockbridge trilogy is worth your time.
Oh.
That's great. I really like that one. What other ones is Time in Office. Zoltis is a good time in office. Ghost Walk.
Oh yeah, Ghost. Oh, and Serpent and Silver Mask is a lot of fun.
Yeah, Tartarus is a banger. Warzone and Conversion.
Just like the whole Mark storyline is worth listening to.
Oh, for sure. Blazing Hour, that's a banger. Real good.
I love it. That's a good selection there. Missing episode animations. We like help us, Doctor Who fans. You're our only hope. Lord. 60-year anniversary of Doctor Who, and I can't wait for the returning characters and episode title, name, and will they celebrate 70 years in 10 years time, and 80 and 90th and 100 years for the next 60? Well, you make us feel a bit old there.
Yeah, it's scary to think how old it would be.
Oh
damn.
There was a rumor on EastEnders star Rose Eiling. Yes, is it Rose Eiling B?
Yeah, something like that.
I saw there was an interview of her, and she was very I think it was with BBC News of some kind, and she was a bit cheeky on that topic. Like, she's seen it when they asked about the rumors, so we'll see.
What Doctor Who story do you think is the biggest upgrade quality-wise on the Blu-rays? I would ask what one looks worse, but there's only one answer. Because it's a visitation, because it's missing a shot. I think anything from season 19 looks glorious, like Castrovalva benefits being on Blu-ray.
Really missing shots.
I haven't.
How's that happened?
I don't mind. I
don't notice it when I watch it.
I think season 19 benefits being on Blu-ray, so anything really.
Yeah.
Even Abominable Snowman episode 2, like, that's a cracker. To be honest.
Web of Fear in Blu-ray. It's great how much they've improved. It's weird because I'm not sure how much of it was shot on film, but so much of it does pop a lot. And it's not even from original film clips. Oh, of course. Spearhead from Space, the obvious one. That's by far the best.
Oh yeah, I'd have to agree with that one. Yeah. But then again, I do like Three Doctors because you get the nice twinkle in Troughton's eye. I really like that on the Blu-ray.
Oh, it's Rose Eiling Ellis, not Eiling B.
There we go.
Is Eiling B the woman from Eve of the Daleks?
Oh yeah, that's who you're thinking. Yeah,
that's where I've got a bit. Yeah, Rose Eiling Ellis is the EastEnders star who's rumoured. Thank you for that.
I mean, she's great.
There's a video on YouTube showing all the missing and even out of focus shots from the visitation. Wow, that is crazy.
but the Visitation looks glorious.
Mm.
What is the
Yeah,
most? Oh, go on.
Yeah, like Visitation and Clash of Alpha are the ones that come to mind the most when I think about the quality
Yeah.
of them on season 19. I suppose because that's mostly shot on film, isn't it?
Yeah. What is the most expensive piece of Doctor Who merchandise you own? And also, what's the most obscure piece of Doctor Who merch you own?
Oof.
Most of the Big Finish collection, I'd guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know, for me.
I think I know. It'll probably be the 11th Doctor Sonic Screwdriver for me. That's been the most money I've dropped on a bit of merch.
Obscure wise, there's probably something weird from an old Doctor Who magazine or something that's lying around.
I'd probably say John Pertwee's memorial for me. Or a paperback signed by John Pertwee, Colin Baker, and Nicola Bryant, and it has nothing to do with their doctors at all or companion because it's like the first Hartnell Dalek story.
Yeah.
That's obscure, random. That's random, but it's cool to have.
It's like that randomness of Tom Baker being a narrator for Power of the Daleks.
Yeah, it's that sort of obscure. Go, what? How is that a thing? And it's like done in first person. Yeah, strange. But yeah, I think that's pretty much us done for tonight. I think
It's been a good one.
Yeah, it's been nice to finally tick the animations off the list and go, well, we've done that tier list.
Yeah. Not as much fighting as I was expecting.
No, do not fight in here.
Obey your emperor.
Exactly. I mean, you had the power. You had the power of the tier list.
Yeah,
tonight,
I was in control for once.
I have the power of life and death. Whatever you. Yeah.
Thanks to your mouse.
Yeah, thanks to my mouse being an absolute temperamental thing.
You have to Sonic it.
Yeah, after spending that money on that screwdriver.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to do something, surely.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. It's not a decorative piece.
No. Stylish says, thanks for a great stream, you two. Great to have another stream from my two favourite YouTubers.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, YouTubers in general, not even just YouTubers.
Whoa, that's bold. That's hot take. I'll take it.
Take care and see you next stream. Yes, we'll hopefully see you there, Stylish Person.
Yeah.
We've already said what it is. It's 42.
Yeah, we're finishing that.
Entering the Autumn Infinity. I mean, you've still got 2 episodes to go, haven't you?
Yeah, I've still got 2 episodes to go with it.
So I mean, it could all go wrong for you. I doubt it will.
I doubt it. And I guess we'll talk about 40 as a whole, how it's been. We've got plans involving the 5th Doctor on Big Finish and other Doctors in the near future. We've just got to find time when to do said project because we're working on another project, which I guess we should announce project coming very soon.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. I suppose you've been a bit busier recently, haven't you? So
yeah,
so sort of not finding as much time, but we'll get there.
And I finally finished a thing for us to do with one of those things, so we're good to go with that project. Yeah,
all good.
We'll have to just figure out one where we can record those things, and yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Stylish Person says your interactions with your community are unmatched and are part of the reason why I love you both and your videos so much. The best YouTubers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is the joy of. I think the streams are probably the best way to interact with the people who watch. Even if you're a lurker, we appreciate you, and that you're taking time out of your daily routine to spend it with us. Really. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to Christmas when we have an excuse to have one of those just chill sit downs.
Yeah,
we could do. I feel like it's made more special by the fact that it's Christmas. It's all cozy.
Yeah,
and it's also like that rare event thing. It's made more special because last year when we had the Chaos of the Biscuit tier list and the fact that people were coming to that, and I mean, that was quite a popular one as well.
Yeah,
that was just such a surreal experience as well, and I think. It's good to know people are there for us as well, because with other Doctor Who streams, they may be coming to get opinions on this and that. Whereas coming to watch a biscuit tier list,
Yeah, it's for
you don't really
personality
want.
alone.
Yeah, you don't really need recommendations for biscuits to pick up.
Yeah, you know what
Yeah.
you like, you know what you
Yeah.
don't like.
You're there for our banter about the biscuits, which is rather flattering.
Yeah, I mean that would be a good way to sort of round off the year,
Mm.
really. I mean, I no idea what we'll cover for that. It'd
Yeah.
just be like a hot chocolate. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe hot chocolate tier list.
Hot chocolate tier list, yeah. Like
Yeah,
the perfect hot chocolate for your store. Like, well, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, the biscuit only came about because that was just a meme that somehow got generated by the chat, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So see if the chat can generate a meme. Like, yeah, that's December stream sorted.
Yeah, that's it. Black hole. That's another example of the
Yeah.
chat forcing us into something. We
And we enjoyed it.
Yeah, we got dragged into the black hole. And we actually enjoyed it. So
Yeah, well,
we
I
are
guess
grateful to everyone in the chat as well for bringing things like that to us, and of course, just for watching us in general and being here, talking to us, or just lurking around and enjoying our banter.
like on a serious note, the reason the streams probably started was so people who were in isolation and in lockdown didn't have that social interaction. You could actually speak to people. And it was that way of people could not feel alone and be isolated, that they could have that 2 hours of a night having that interaction. That's made it be more deep than what these streams probably are, but that was maybe a good idea for it. I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah.
Just seeing one last question from the Gallifreyan Wanderer here. Hello, do you think there will ever be a Big Finish animation or more Lost Stories BBC animation? I don't think there'll be BBC animation purely because of license-wise as well. Like, I don't think the BBC would be allowed to animate a Big Finish themselves, and also Big Finish wouldn't be allowed to animate their own stuff because they only have an audio license. I don't know if you've got anything to add there. Maybe I'm mistaken there, but I think that's probably the case.
I think they probably toyed with the idea because I think they did like a poll a few years ago of like, if we were to animate it, what would you want?
I think that might just more be the community manager, the Big Finish intern, just having a bit of fun
in the pot,
getting a bit of discussion going, keeping Big Finish relevant.
I don't think this Abominable Snowman is the end of the animation. I think the animation is probably going to have a new life in a new form, whether that be Disney Plus or BritBox exclusive. Then a few months down the line, you'll get your physical copy.
Yeah, that's something.
We'll just have to see.
It's similar to what the Fourth Doctor said to Harry in the Ark in Space. Not the end, just a pause.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to sum it up, really.
Yeah, that's a good way to end.
Yeah, very well.
Stream, we're ending.
Yeah, we're saying goodbye for now, and we'll be back for Fifth Doctor 40 Autumn Infinity. Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.